Una welcome to another video for this channel. Una know say this past few days na serious business matter happen for Owerri, Imo State for 4th and 5th of December 2025 for Concord Boulevard, Owerri. Imo host one economic summit wey carry real weight. Omo, the caliber of people wey show for this discussion no be small o. Both national and international leaders, investors, experts, everybody gather to reason how Imo fit move forward. Make we no too talk. This video na the documentary of everything wey sup. So before you watch, just prepare yourself because na correct information about Imo State you go hear and see today. Things wey you never hear before. Developments wey don happen, wey dey happen, and the ones wey go still dey come plus how investors don put mouth for the matter. We go hear first from His Excellency distinguished Senator Hope Uzodimma, the Executive Governor of Imo State, as he opened the business of the day under the theme Unlocking Imo's Economic Potential, Partnership, Investment and Innovation. Then we go hear from national and international guests. Oya, watch this video, and if na your first time here, una know as we dey do am now. Abeg, don't forget to subscribe.
I'm aware that you come from different parts of the world, and some of you had to rearrange demanding schedules to be here today. Thank you for choosing Imo State. I want you to know this from the outset, that you are in the right place at the right time. Welcome to Imo State, the Eastern Heartland, the home of the digital economy and the home of hospitality. Welcome to this historic first Imo Investment Summit. In my new thinking, Imo stands for Investment Means Opportunities, IMO. So before I proceed further, I thank in a special way those who, through their generous sponsorships, identified with us to ensure the success of this historic summit. Imo State government extends its profound appreciation to you all. I think it is equally important to acknowledge at this point that through the intentional reform policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the general investment space in our dear country has become more clement. For the first time in decades, Nigeria is witnessing bold market-driven policy reset. Notably, the courageous removal of the restrictive fuel subsidy and the strategic harmonization of the foreign exchange market. Apart from signaling a decisive shift towards transparency, market liberalization, and fiscal stability, these intentional reforms have created a fertile environment where the private sector can truly thrive. This national momentum is the perfect backdrop for our own initiative and also reinforces our drive for a $1 trillion economy, which is synchronized with federal government's agenda of economic revival and renewal, paving the way for states like Imo State to take the lead in regional development. Imo State is unique. It has produced the best in human resources. We have excelled in bureaucracy. Our academics are present worldwide, imparting knowledge, while our sportsmen and women have continued to excel globally. We have also produced the best entrepreneurs and entertainers all around Nigeria and the world. Yes, the state that battled these highly successful people is still grappling with challenges of primitive industrialization. Our economy is still weak, largely agrarian, and under the Imo State, like many Nigerian states, pursued development through a fraud model. The government tried to build industry, run industries, and the industry. We rely on bureaucracy instead of market force. We attempted to incubate economic activity while standing on a foundation crippled by weak infrastructure, unreliable energy, and a land administration system so manual and prone to fraud that actively discouraged investment. That model was destined to fail, and it failed. So when we came into office in 2020, we decided to go back to the basics, to stop trying to do what the government cannot do well, to focus instead on what the government must do, and that is to create perfect enabling environment for investments and developments to thrive. I can proudly declare that fear of contradiction that almost 6 years down the road, the foundation for investment has been laid. As we know, investment cannot thrive under chaos or without critical infrastructure. We have therefore taken time to address this squarely and successfully. Hence, I encourage to invite you to this summit to be part of the emerging process that will see Imo State become a haven for investment and one of the most industrialized states in the country. As some of you here are aware, we were faced with serious and far-reaching security challenges at the inception of this administration. The motive behind the response on insecurity was to demarcate the state and thus frustrate our plans and efforts to develop the state. More like find our resolve, but we stood up for it and have since overcome that. It was a tortuous journey, but with the help of the federal government and the dedication of our security forces, I can proudly tell you today that Imo is safe again to the glory of God. Our improved security status can guarantee the necessary credibility and safety for capital deployment. But security alone is not enough. Infrastructure is the backbone of commerce. I'm certain that as you travel around the world and beyond, you notice that the state of our roads, which we have constructed over 120 strategic and economically important roads and bridges that link our 27 local government areas and neighboring states, which double as our current focus is on the linked roads leading to rural communities to further expand human and commercial mobility across the entire state. But like security, roads alone are not enough. You need to address the single biggest bottleneck to industrialization in Nigeria, which is power or energy, as some people prefer to call it. You can have the best location, you can have the best workforce, the best market access, and the best roads. But without reliable electricity, you will stagnate. It is common knowledge that industrial operators in Nigeria spend more money on power generation than they do on salaries. This is not sustainable. We have addressed this concern in Imo State. By the end of this month, we will launch phase 1 of the Light Up Imo project. The infrastructure for this is already in place. When those switches is actually free, greater parts of the state deal with the whole of metropolis, while the next phase will connect durable electricity to the 27 local government areas of the state. This is a game changer. There will be no more generator economies, no more production downtime, no more excuses Yes, we will guarantee 24/7 electricity supply to the states, to risking land and finance. The third great component to investment in Nigeria has been land administration, which is currently characterized by manual processes, fraud, disputed titles, and the near impossibility of securing clean ownership. Until recently, this was the major obstacle in Imo State, but it is now history. Given the unpleasant experiences of investors in some states, we took time to holistically address the issue owing primarily to the fraud-prone analog system that was in place. We have now dismantled it and successfully replaced it with an efficient, fraud-free automated system. Only just last week, I launched the Imo Land Information Center, a one-stop center offering comprehensive digital land administration information across the state. All land records are now digitalized, and we have migrated to a secure portal utilizing blockchain technology to create tamper-proof ledgers. This guarantees unprecedented ease of doing business from anywhere in the world. It means that anyone can verify land ownership from anywhere in the world. It means someone can obtain a certificate of occupancy within 24 hours. It means the risk of disputed titles, forged documents, and endless litigation has been eliminated. This process ensures unprecedented ease of doing business. Yes, we have removed uncertainty and all forms of racketeering from the equation. Now, distinguished investors, the opportunity matrix. So we have built the foundation. We have built security. We have built infrastructure. We have restored power and transparent land administration. Now let me tell you why Imo State offers unrivaled sectorial potential. In energy and technology, Imo State hosts in East Valley the largest cruising gas reserve in West Africa. Let me repeat, the largest cruising gas reserve in West Africa. We have a substantiated and proven natural gas reserve estimated at 200 trillion cubic feet, with an additional potential of 600 trillion cubic feet in unproven reserves. So for those looking for opportunities for investment in the oil and gas sector, Imo State is the destination. For years, this resource sat largely untapped because the platform was not ready. That has changed. With the support of the federal government, we have established the Orash Energy Free Trade Zone, a strategic gateway designed specifically for investment in our energy sector. Early birds in this space will enjoy tax holidays and abundant growth opportunities. But this is not just about extraction. We are talking about value addition through digital-led manufacturing, technology-enabled services, and logistics, all leveraging the infrastructure of the free trade zone. And you will need skilled workers to operate these industries. We have them. Through our Skilled Up Imo initiative, we have created a large, readily available pool of digital talent and a skilled technical workforce. As cohorts complete training, some join the civil service, others enter the private sector, and many launch startups and self-sustaining businesses. Your workforce is ready. Your energy supply is ready. The incentives are in place. Yes, Imo State is ready to house your investments. Agriculture and manufacturing. Imo State has arable land, very fast, and is suitable for the production of a wide variety of crops, which can serve as food and provide raw materials for the industries. But more importantly, we are home to Adapan. Adapan is one of the largest farm plantations in West Africa. More than just a plantation, Adapan is a massive input platform for downstream agro manufacturing and for producing food and raw materials for pharmaceuticals and cosmetics. The raw material is there in abundance. The processing opportunities are enormous. The market of Nigeria's over 200 million people and beyond is available and waiting. Beyond palm oil, our solid mineral sector, comprising of limestone, kaolin, and clay, offers immediate opportunities in cement production and ceramics manufacturing. Indeed, our natural endowments are many, waiting to be explored. Global connectivity. It is not possible to run a modern industrial operation without access to the global markets. Our Sam Bakwai International Cargo Airport is now fully fitted for both day and night operations. We are actively seeking partnership to maximize the cargo component, positioning this airport as a major logistics hub in West Africa. But we are even thinking ahead. We are working to open up Imo State through Ogota and Orash River to the Atlantic Ocean. This is a vision, and this vision is realizable. Future access to global maritime trade is part of our ultimate plan. And because global business requires global standards, we have invested in world-class hospitality infrastructure. The newly restored Concord Hotel, one of the best five-star hotels in the country now, is to be managed by a leading global hospitality brand, the Hilton Hotels. This is the environment where this will be done. Ample digital space. Imo State offers strong investable opportunities across key areas of its fast-growing digital economy. With a broadband penetration still below 40%, the state presents a significant gap for fiber optic backbone extension, last mile connectivity, metro rails, and rural broadband, supported by the rising digital adoption from platforms like My Imo app, LIS, and Skill Up Imo. This is also a viable opportunity for digital device manufacturing and assembly, leveraging Imo's strategic position within a regional market of over 660 million people and sustained demand for affordable devices. In addition, locations as Ohio and local government and Oguta provides ideal conditions for cryptocurrency mining and high-density data centers, due to not only the stable power from Orash electricity project and the natural cooling advantages from the Orash River, making them stable, not only suitable, but for efficient, scalable green tech operations. The Okogi difference, corporate social responsibility solved. Now let me address something that often frustrates investors, and that is corporate social responsibility. You want to give back to the communities where you operate, but where do you start? Which organizations are credible? How do you ensure your investment actually reaches the people who need it? How do I avoid the compliance headache. We have solved this problem with our One Kindred, One Business initiative, otherwise christened Okobi. Okobi is a social enterprise model where self-organizing kindreds receive training, technical support, and access to funding to establish cottage businesses. We currently have over 400 successful Okobi businesses operating across Imo State. Here is what this means for you. Okobi provides a protected, credible downstream corporate social responsibility platform. Instead of guessing where to invest your social capital, you can support Okobi business directly. You are not just ticking a compliance box. You are transforming lives. And these businesses can become part of your supply chain, providing raw materials or services that feed back into your operations. See it as CSR reimagined, symbiotic, sustainable, and strategic. The perfect time, the perfect place. So far, I've given you a high-level overview of the new Imo State and the untapped opportunities it offers. You can see details in our Imo Investment Handbook and similar literature, which should be given to you in the course of this summit. To sum up, we have delivered certainty, we have delivered security, we have delivered infrastructure, we have delivered power and transparent land administration, we have delivered scale, energy resources, digital talent, agricultural capacity, and global connectivity. We have delivered integration, a corporate social responsibility platform that works for you and also works for the community where you operate from. This market is currently unsaturated. There are no bottlenecks. Growth potential is maximal. We have eliminated risk, simplified administration, and provided the resources. So when I say that Imo State is the new investment equation, engineered for maximum return, I mean every word of it. In more ways than one, Imo State can be seen as a one-stop shop where opportunity and innovation await investment to unlock vast potential. Together, we can trigger the rise of a new industrialized Imo State and make her one of the most industrialized in the country as well. We have everything it takes to make this vision happen. As I count on your understanding and massive support through your investments, just know that we have built a solid foundation to house your investment. We are now inviting you to build the future with us, which is a new industrialized Imo. Imo State is no longer on the rise. Imo has risen. By attending this summit, you can decide to be at the right place at the right time. But let's not see this as a mere chance occurrence. I see it as the coming together of opportunity and preparedness. And I want you to hold firmly to this. Imo State is willing. Imo State is ready and able to house your investments, no matter how it is. Finally, let me ask, what happens when investment means opportunity? My answer is business happens. So let us talk business. Not just business, I mean serious business. The type that transforms economies, the type that creates wealth for the people and produces maximum return on investment. I believe that's why we are here. And I wish you all a successful summit. Thank you, and may Almighty God bless all of us. And bless you for coming. Thank you.
Your title, Unlocking the economic potential of Imo, partnership, investment, and innovation, it captures precisely the direction of economic policy under the administration of President Tinubu. And talk about reforms, we know that the impact of these reforms on the Nigerian economy is clear, is measurable. The strategic role of the state and the subnational governments is driving growth. The expansive financial intervention available to businesses and households. And finally, we'll also talk a little bit about the Imo's potential, all very quickly. So we know the economy is growing faster than it has for a decade or so across all sectors, particularly the industry, particularly agriculture, much faster. So that what we have now is that from about 2% growth before this administration, it is now 4% random growth is what we're looking at in the Nigerian economy. So Nigeria's economy is moving in the right direction. But our target is not 4%. The target set for us is 7% per annum, because that's more than double the rate population will be leaving millions of Nigerians out of poverty. And we need scaling of private and public investment to get there. And that's why we are gathered here today. Of course, the important fiscal outcomes that have followed from this whole process, chiefly invest, increase productivity, grow the economy, create jobs, and lift millions in Imo and elsewhere out of poverty. In conclusion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's say that Nigeria as a whole is no longer a country of latent, stagnant potential. It is, again, a country of rising opportunity. And therein lies the nexus that the governor talked about. Many opportunities there, business follows. Our social protection is expanding, which shows the empathy and the humane approach to governance of Mr. President and His Excellency President Ahmed Tinubu. Our digital, energy, and industrial foundations are being rebuilt. So Imo State stands at the intersection of human capital, entrepreneurial culture, and strategic geography given to it by God, and also man, because we talked about the extension, the dredging to the sea of the Imo River. So let us work together, federal, state, and even local governments and the private sector to develop, and with our development partners, to turn the potential of Imo, turn the potential of Nigeria into measurable prosperity. I thank you for listening.
Mr. Governor, that are very, very, very good policies, bold policies that actually the government has taken today. The exchange rate, the removal of the fuel subsidy, so many other things that the government has actually, put out there. But Nigeria is like a scratch card. You only see the good of it when you scratch the card. So some of us that we have already scratched the card, we are seeing the results. We must really thank Mr. President for his leadership. We must thank the government for bringing out these policies. And I'm sure there are so many other policies that are going to roll this in. But one advice that I have is that most of our own entrepreneurs, please invest at home. What attracts some of us is the good governance, rule of law, good policies that the government has actually put down right there. And you can see that there's actually nothing that is impossible. So our job is to keep investing at home. If we don't invest at home, there is nobody on earth that will come and invest here. What attracts foreign investor is a domestic investor. And that's what we are doing. I mean, it's just like what I said, even yesterday, I was being sort of interviewed by CNN, and they asked me, so, I mean, you have actually been investing. Why did you announce to double up your refinery to make it the largest refinery in the world by doubling already what you have, which is 650,000? I said, well, I don't have anywhere to go and invest, but at home. When I say at home, I mean Nigeria and Africa. There are so many potentials that we have, mineral resources. You have that Africa has actually about 30% of the world's minerals. So there are a lot of people that are fighting, trying to get these minerals. If now we don't really lead the way in putting up this investment, who do we expect to come and invest? We can never ever really convince anybody to come and invest in our continent. We must be the ones that will lead. And we're doing that, we're taking that leadership to make sure that people do come here and invest heavily. To create prosperity, we must do that. And one of the things that I was looking at the brochure, Excellency, I must thank you, 78 megawatts of power, because there can never be growth, there can never be prosperity without power. You have to have electricity to be able to create growth. And you have done that. So congratulations. But there are more to come. Like what I said, Excellency, you tell me which is the best area for us to invest. We are investors, and I can tell you in the next 3 years, the program that we have in the Dangote group, we're investing heavily in fertilizer. We are actually going to become the number one fertilizer plant in the world by 2028. We're moving from 3 million tons of urea to 12 million tons of urea. So we will actually beat the number one today. The refinery will be at 1.4 million barrels per day. 1.4 million barrels per day has actually never been done in the world. It is only 1.25 that's done by Reliance. Will be bigger than Reliance. We have petrochemical 2.4 million tons. That one, all these ones that I'm counting were actually launched on the 11th of December. No, 11th of December. We will make it happen. We'll make Africa, and we'll make Nigeria and Africa proud.
The Orashi dredging project promises to open the Orashi Special Economic Zone to the Atlantic Ocean and also ease shipping to the commercial cities of Onitsha, Aba, and Nnewi. The Orashi River dredging and Special Economic Zone project are expected to cost about $1 billion initially, and open opportunities for investments amounting to tens of billions of dollars in areas such as the production of urea fertilizer, petroleum refining, ammonia production, and other gas-based petrochemicals. An adjoining special agro-processing zone will also attract significant investment in light manufacturers, because these projects are transformational and will create jobs and wealth that will impact people far beyond the confines of Imo State. A president provided, and I believe, as you will hear from the executive vice president of our President Bank, still provides support for them. My many years of experience in advising investors convinced me that the Orashi River Integrated Project can be an investor's paradise with other industrial facts and special economic zone. I believe that our President Bank will provide strong financing support providing a suite of credit and guaranteed products to make it easy for investors to protect themselves from country risks, from investment risk, and to access project finance and trade finance. So that in the Orange integrated project, we have something for everyone. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, since I left office, my speaking engagements have focused on leadership. Allow me a few minutes to touch on that subject and to repeat what I have said elsewhere about leadership at the service of the people. In my opinion, leadership is the ability to vision, to strategize, and to execute. Leadership is not a title, certainly not a chieftaincy title, celebrated with flamboyant attire, red caps, and eulogizing songs. It is a call to serve with dignity, and that call can fall on anybody, irrespective of his or her standing in society. You do not need the beating of drums to ascend to that position. A true leader must prepare to abandon the luxuries of privilege and embrace the duty of sacrifice, to adorn the heart of courage, the audacity to act, and assume responsibility for actions taken, to put the people first, as leadership is a call to serve and not an order to be served. I will go to this length so that you can join me in reviewing Governor Uzodimma from those lengths. The Orange River Dredging and Special Economic Zone project was an audacious vision. Conceptualizing and initiating its execution were courageous, people-centered leadership in action. Supporting that action, enabling that strategy so that before long, we can see the first fabricated vessels water, see the first grains of urea fertilizers to have from a manufacturing plant, see the first gasoline drops from the oil refinery, and also witness massive investments from the likes of Dangote, Mr. Aliko, Dangote, and some others who I've mentioned here. Is our collective responsibility. If these do not happen, it will not be that Imo State government under Governor Uzodimma did not act. It will be because we failed to follow, held back by the usual debilitating paralysis of the will, the poisonous tendency to emerge as our own worst enemies, destroying our future with reckless abandon like a fool in a China shop. I hope that this conference begins to reverse these characters, to restore our value of respect for work. Allow me to close by thanking the team at Orange Special Economic Company, the lead organizers of this event, his CEO chairman, as well as Governor Uzodimma, his government, and the people of Imo State for this opportunity. I thank you for your kind attention.
We're going over now to across this continent to welcome a biodiversity expert, one who in 2015 was elected as the first female president of our country, contributing to tremendous growth and development of her country. Please join me in welcoming this fellow of the African Academy of Sciences and erudite scholar. A warm applause as we welcome Her Excellency Amina Guri Fakim, first female president of Mauritius, who served between 2015 and 18.
Good afternoon, Excellencies, President of the Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by the Deputy President, dignitaries, the former Secretary General of the United Nations, the former Prime Minister of Britain, and all guests present, all dignitaries present, I present to you greetings from sunny Mauritius. I will be very brief, but I would like to just start by making a small observation. You know, about 10 years ago, there was an article, a cover page of The Economist. It spoke about Africa as being the desperate continent. 10 years later, the headline changed. Africa, the rising continent. What changed in these 10 years? Because still, Africa has 25% of the disease burden in the world, still produces about 3 to 4% of the global GDP, has produced about 0.1% patents. So what has changed? What changed is that people have now realized that Africa sits on the world 30% reserve of the global reserve of minerals in the world. Africa has a young population. Africa is a continent of hope by the sheer virtue of the fact that Africa has risen. Africa has risen because Africa is laying the foundation for the youth of Africa to have hope. And this hope comes with the leadership. And I'm very happy that President Orama has just mentioned this. Africa needs the leadership to take the youth by the hand into the current century and of course beyond. And one thing I will say as well, and I have mentioned the capitalization of the continent. We have said that Africa, if you look at the GDP of the entire continent, it is less than that of NVIDIA, which capitalizes at 5 trillion as we speak. So this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable for many reasons, and I think it is time that Africa takes her destiny in her hand. And if you look at a country like Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria, 1 in 5 African is Nigerian. And this will stand to rise because by 2050, 1 in 2 working age adults will be African. The 1 in 4 will be African, and by 2100, 1 in 2 will be African. And you can imagine in terms of demography what this represents in terms of potential. And Nigeria is a powerhouse. I have seen this country at work. I have seen the talent of the people. I have seen the energy in Lagos. I've seen the energy in Abuja. In all the places I've gone around Nigeria, it is a power hub in the making. And interestingly, we have got some of the richest and most entrepreneurs, interesting entrepreneurs coming out of this continent. I've seen, for example, the expansion of the Dangote group across Africa. So the hope is permitted, hope is allowed. And I have no reason to believe that this country of Nigeria will not do well in the future because Nigeria, just like Africa, Nigeria is rising. So I wish the country, the state of Imo, and rightly has been presented this morning by the governor in terms of everything that's going on. Having said this, I am very happy to bring my little part to this state by bringing in potential renewable energy. Africa can leapfrog into the future, just like countries in Asia did. And Africa can do that without having to invest too much in heavy infrastructure. But the lifeblood of any economy remains energy. So I will try and bring in some entrepreneur and some investment into this state, because I think with the right energy, 24/7 are having initiated by the press, by the governor, it is possible to be able to make a difference. And so I will stop here. I wish the continent all the very best. And I'm sure there are many speakers who will also come and speak about what can be done, what could be done. But at the end of the day, it is all about leadership, it's about vision. And I think that all these ingredients are present here today to make this happen. Thank you so much.
I have the singular honor and profound pleasure to invite to the stage a distinguished African statesman whose life's journey embodies resilience, integrity, and unwavering commitment to national renewal. He's not only a champion of economic transformation, but a visionary leader
dedicated to unlocking the full potential of his nation through disciplined governance, private sector growth, and inclusive government. With decades of service marked by humility, wisdom, and exemplary dedication, he continues to inspire a new era of hope and progress in West Africa. A steadfast believer in regional cooperation, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the President of Liberia, His Excellency Joseph Yuma Boakai Sr. His Excellency, sir.
It is a profound honor to stand here in Imo State, the Eastern Heartland, a land of rich cultural heritage, the remarkable resilience and tremendous promise. I bring you warm greetings from the government and people of Liberia. Allow me to begin by expressing my heartfelt appreciation to His Excellency, Senator Hope Uzodimma, for the gracious invitation extended me. I am deeply humbled by your kind words about Liberia's progress under our leadership and by your recognition of our effort to restore integrity, strengthen institutions, and rebuild the foundation of our national development. For convening this important summit, Governor, allow me to recognize the critical role Nigeria played for us to be where we are today. We want to thank you very much. We remain grateful for your brotherly role. Your vision to unlock Imo State economic potential is both timely and essential. As the fourth richest state in Nigeria and the third highest on human development under index, Imo State is an inspiration. The theme of the summit, Unlocking Imo's Economic Potential, speaks directly to opportunities and challenges facing many African states today. Across the continent, we see a desire to transform natural blessings into tangible prosperity, to move from potential to productivity, and to shift from dependency to innovation, dream growth. Imo State is not alone in this quest. Liberia is on a similar path, as are many other neighboring states. As we reflect on the task before us, an African proverb reminds us that when spider webs unite, they can tie up a lion. This proverb teaches us that even the most complex challenges can be overcome when we work together. Partnership multiplies strength. Cooperation creates possibilities. Collective effort turns potential into progress. This summit embodies the truth. Partnership is key to sustainable progress. Collective effort is the foundation of a long-term transformation. If Imo State is fully unlocked, this is the economic potential. Three pillars must guide our effort: partnership, investment, and innovation. Honorable Governor, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, no society advances alone. No government succeeds in isolation. The greatest development stories in history were built on cooperation between the public sector, the private sector, and communities. Imo State has the opportunity to build a new alliance that bring together government, investors, researchers, entrepreneurs, and global partners within the shared framework of progress. For Liberia, partnership has been the backbone of our current transformation. Over the past year, we strengthened cooperation with regional partners, secured Liberia's election to the United Nations Security Council and mobilize support for agricultural expansion, railway modernization, and institutional reform. These successes remind us that collaboration multiplies capacity. Let me touch on investment and innovation as they relate to the theme of gathering. Investment is the lifeblood of development. Without capital, ideas remain dreams. Without investor, potential remains unrealized. But investment must be smart, realistic, sustainable, and inclusive. It must empower local businesses, create decent jobs, and uplift communities. Imo State possesses abundant economic potential, from agriculture to energy, from manufacturing to services, from mining to tourism. The foundations are already here. The next step is to build a stable, predictable environment where investors feel comfortable committing their resources.
Was the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations, 2007 to 2017. But before then, he was Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade in Korea. At the United Nations, he spearheaded the Sustainable Development Goals, the Paris Climate Agreement, creating the UN Women, strengthening UN peacekeeping and humanitarian efforts, promoted women's rights, addressed issues like Ebola epidemic and nuclear proliferation. Is indeed a global citizen who focuses and mobilizes leaders around a set of new global challenges. And we're very happy in Imo State to have this 81-year-old man that looks 35. Let's welcome here the 8th UN Secretary General, His Excellency, Ban Ki-moon.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to join you today at the Imo State Economic Summit 2025 and deliver these remarks on unlocking Imo's economic potential, partnership, investment, and innovation. And it is my privilege to speak to all of you at such an important juncture as we strive to advance growth, expand climate action, achieve sustainable development, build peace, and empower women and global citizen leaders to forge a sustainable and prosperous future for all people and our planet. My gratitude goes to the Honorable Hope Uzodimma, Governor of Imo State, for his leadership and also inviting me to speak at the same time. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this is a time of great significance for taking climate action and accelerating achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, through cooperation and partnership. Before entering the substance, I have the pleasure to talk to you about Ms. Amina Mohammed, a Nigerian diplomat and a politician who is serving now as UN Deputy Secretary General and number 2 person within the United Nations system. Initially, I'm not boasting myself, it was I who picked her up while serving as a Secretary General. And I'm very pleased to tell you that my decision was the right decision. And let us give a big applause. Thank you. Today, I'll speak to you about how we can advance in this era of global uncertainty and security. But we must, at the same time, all play our part in this process, particularly dynamic African leaders and various initiatives such as the Imo State Economic Summit to succeed in creating a more peaceful, sustainable, and prosperous future for all. I thank again the Governor of Imo for inviting me and also taking such a great initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, let me speak about global citizens, global citizenship. This is an important concept that can serve as a unique tool to help solve some of our most pressing challenges and assist us in reaching our global goals. Global citizens are those who identify themselves not only as a member of the nation, but also as a member of the humanity of the world. The national boundaries are not important at this time. Practically, there are no national boundaries. You can travel all the places without any hindrance. During my time as a young boy, there were a lot of restrictions, but this means the women, girls, and men, they are all global citizens. You may be proud of being Nigerian or Korean Americans or some other countries, but this nationality does not mean much at this time. We are all global citizens. We are all together. So I hope the particular leaders, political leaders participating in this meeting would give much more to women and young people who will soon become our leaders of the society. And in order to establish long-term solutions, global solutions, we need inclusive and participatory action, including global citizens, especially those throughout Africa, as an essential ingredient to make good on the power of partnership. For these reasons, I have been trying my best to help create global citizenship as a driving vision for all people around the world. And I urge all of you, distinguished guests, to move forward in your lives, careers, and outlook as a global citizen. At the same time, global citizenship and the values it entails are essential for nurturing strong and empathetic leaders at all levels. Now, more than ever, we must light a bright new pathway to confront the great challenges we are facing today. As such, it is essential that we join together to elevate climate action, accelerate progress on the UN global goals, and cultivate global citizenship all around the world. And key stakeholders are absolutely indispensable for such collective global efforts. And also, we need to strengthen partnership. Without partnership, you cannot do anything. That's why number 17, the last goal of Sustainable Development Goals, is global partnership. When you are strengthening your global partnership, I think we can resolve all these issues. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking everyone to pursue this long-term vision of global citizenship based on global partnership. Everyone has a moral responsibility to act wherever they may be, and anyone can lead with a purpose. But dynamic stakeholders operating locally are uniquely positioned to help elevate prosperity boost sustainability, and lead our common future to new heights. In fact, global citizenship is perfectly aligned with the guiding missions of this year's summit to, I quote, transform Imo State into a competitive investment destination, a hub of innovation, and a model for sustainable development in Nigeria and across Africa. Unquote. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude. Unfortunately, the challenges we are facing now are unprecedented. Therefore, our response must also be equally unprecedented. Please collaborate across borders and cities and generations and cultures and religions. This will boost sustainability and expand economic growth in an increasingly divisive world. We can and should create the future we want. This is a bright future that is anchored in prosperity, sustainability, and empowerment for all. But we must remember that current challenges are simply too enormous to be left in the hands of a few leaders. All of us have worked together in solidarity and partnership. Your role is more vital than ever as right holders. Excellencies, let us work together. There is not a single country, single individual, whether president, prime minister, or country-wise, United States, European Union. They are resourceful, very powerful, but there is not a single country, single individual in this world who can do it alone. We must join all our hands on the deck together. That's the hard lessons which I have learned while serving as a Secretary General of the United Nations. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I appeal to you, let us be global citizens. With the global citizenship, just transcend national borders and work to make this global earth and humanity prosperous and sustainable. That's your political responsibility. For me now, I have only moral responsibility. When political responsibility, moral responsibility combined, I think we can really achieve a better world for our succeeding generation. Thank you very much.
Member of Parliament, second Mayor of the City of London, former Foreign Secretary, and former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Right Honourable Mr. Alexander Boris Johnson. You're welcome, so please a big round of applause.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great, great pleasure. Can you hear me? Can you hear me really well? It's fantastic to be here. Your Excellency, Mr. President, ably represented by the Vice President, distinguished Governor, Senator Hope Uzodimma, all other distinguished guests, Prime Ministers, Presidents, ex-Prime Ministers, politicians of all kinds. Governor Hope, you've been too successful in your summit today. I can't recognize everybody. I simply can't. I wouldn't do justice to the stellar cast that you have assembled. But as soon as I was told there was a chance of coming to Imo State, as soon as I was told there was a chance of coming to Owerri, I was so excited. And I wanted to come. And I was very fascinated. This is a true story. 2 days ago, I was in the Gulf. I won't say which city it was, but it was a conference about investment, about global investment. And there were some huge high rollers there, some big players. I'm not saying as rich as some of the people in this room. There's some very rich people in this room. But there was one particular guy who had tens of billions, many tens of billions of dollars. I was sitting next to him. And he was telling me he had so many homes in Malibu now. He has not enough family to put in them.
They're empty. He has so many private jets that he flies with 2 jets at a time, wherever he goes. 2 private jets because, one of them might break down or the other one might run out of peanuts in the minibar or whatever. He has 2. Anyway, this guy's astonishingly successful, brilliant global investor, tens of billions, American. And everybody was listening to what he had to say. Like the scene in Trading Places, you remember when they're all waiting to hear what Eddie Murphy is going to say the next stock. They were waiting to hear what he had to say about the future. And we said, where is the country? And is this serious? We said, where is the country that you regard as the most exciting investment prospect? And he said, is what he said. He said, I'll tell you what it is. It's going to be overtaking China because I've been looking at the numbers. It's got the most dynamic population of virtually any country on earth. And the answer is, of course, Nigeria. It's true. It's exactly what he said. And he gave us all, he gave the whole room an astonishing statistic. Do you know this? This year in Nigeria, there are 8 million babies being born, or there have been born 8 million babies, exactly the same number as there are born this year in China. Think of that, my friends. Think of what that means for the trajectory of this country. We're talking about phenomenal growth, phenomenal development potential. But I am here to tell you that having children alone is not the answer. My friends, I have 9 children, which is by United Kingdom standards quite a lot, right? A lot. And we're working on it. My wife and I are trying to get to the root cause of the phenomenon. We're having an inquiry into how it all happened. But it's very expensive. And it's economically draining. And so it's very, very important that you attract investment and that you have an economic vision for the future of the kind that Governor Uzodimma plainly has. And if Nigeria is going to achieve its potential, you are completely right. And if we're going to find jobs for those hundreds of millions of kids, then you're completely right that you have to focus on all the things that we've been rightly talking about this morning. And yeah, I think it helps that Nigeria is blessed. This Imo State is blessed with, I think I heard correctly, some of the biggest oil and gas reserves in West Africa. Is that right? Fantastic. You're blessed. And I think it's very, very good that you have such high levels of literacy. That's a fantastic. Congratulations to everybody involved in that. I've got to tell you, there are parts of Africa, sadly, where female illiteracy is still running at more than 50%, right? But not here. Thank you. Congratulations. It's to unleash the potential. I think what the former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said was completely right. To unleash the potential of this whole continent. Every girl in Africa has got to get access to the same education as every boy. Number one. It helps, by the way, that you have the rule of law. The rule of law. I want you to know that when I decided to come to Owerri, I read some stuff, and there were some people who were saying there were maybe some security problems in Nigeria. Have you heard that? And I said, well, I'm going to go anyway. And let me ask you, do you feel safe today here at this wonderful conference? Yes. We all feel safe, and I feel perfectly safe. Thank you, Governor Hope, for what you're doing. The rule of law, safety on the street, absolutely critical. Infrastructure. I was so interested in what you had to say about dredging the river, the roads. The airport was fantastic, wasn't it? Absolutely fantastic. But your focus on electricity is completely right. What is the future? It is AI. It's going to be AI. It's artificial intelligence, and the demand for clean, sustainable electricity because of AI is going to be colossal. And so I congratulate you on what you're doing to get clean, sustainable energy for Imo State and for the whole of Nigeria. And I hope, by the way, very much that British firms will see the opportunity here, as the Mauritian former president rightly added. It's a very, very important opportunity. But there are, of course, some things where Nigeria and Imo State actually in particular have a head start. That's the sheer entrepreneurial flair of the population, which is famous around the whole world. And then there's a final ingredient. I'm going to be very, very brief, but I think we all know what you all know what I'm going to say. And there's a final thing that I think helps Nigeria and indeed greatly helps my own country. And I saw the legacy this morning in my hotel in Lagos when I had to try to plug in my laptop. I don't stand here because you have the same plugs, the 3-point British plug, which is a legacy of our former relationship. And of course, you have the language. I will say nothing of those former colonies of France, but it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful that here in Nigeria we are united. We have this huge blessing of ties, of history and language, and woven together constantly by the toing and froing of brilliant Nigerians to my country and back again, and British people coming to Nigeria. And of course, look, I'm proud, very proud of what we export to Nigeria. And I think the greatest hope that we have are not just the exports or the imports, it's the things that we actually do together, the things that we do in partnership. And that there's just so much. A Nigerian singer who stole the show in the recent coronation of our king, the Nigerian football players who have millions, if not billions, of fans in the Premier League and who have admirers around the world. Nigerian artists, there's a huge Nigerian show on right now at Tate Modern. Anglo-Nigerian films that are being nominated for the Oscars. I look at this wonderful conference, this summit, and I see the energy in the room, I feel it, and I know it's going to be a tremendous, tremendous success. Investment makes opportunity. IMO. In my opinion, IMO. In my opinion, the Imo State has an absolutely fantastic future. And I think that Nigeria's great days lie ahead of it. The Imo State's great days lie ahead of it. And I think the great days of the historic friendship, partnership, love affair between Britain and Nigeria also lie ahead of us. Thank you all very, very much for the kindness you've done me in inviting me along today, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your summit. And you may now play your vuvuzelas or whatever it was that I heard earlier on. Thank you.
His Excellency, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, ably represented by the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, to deliver his address. Kindly take your seats, please.
Your Excellency Joseph Nyuma Boakai, our chief host, Mwandi was Senator Hope Uzodimma, and his beautiful wife, Barrister Chioma Uzodimma. The former Prime Minister of the UK, the Mercurian Boris Johnson. Distinguished Imo leaders, stakeholders, and dignitaries, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The last time I was in Owerri for the plaque-up of the 2025 Hajj exercise, I described him as a goalkeeper, defender, the midfielder, ambitious attacker in the mold of Victor Center of the APC. Little wonder that Mr. President has appointed Governor Hope Uzodimma, the hope of the nation, as the #1 ambassador of the renewed hope agenda. And today, like the man of many parts and capacities that he exemplifies, he has, as a luminary, economic strategist, transformational leader, sage, and visionary governor, gathered us in this beautiful southeastern state of Imo for the Imo State Economic Summit. Governor Hope Uzodimma, I doff my hat for you. Nations do not rise because one of the corner of the map ascends, while others remain dormant. Nations rise when every part of it discovers its promise, nurtures its strength, and takes responsibility for its own economic direction. This is the spirit that has animated the economic summits taking place across the country. It is the conviction that each state holds a piece of the puzzle that completes the grand picture of our national development. This is why I'm genuinely excited to share this moment with you today. The promise of Imo State's prospects and potentials are unmistakable, and the opportunities ahead should command our collective attention. There is no greater accelerator of national growth than the deliberate effort to steer each state towards its areas of absolute and comparative advantage. We have all come to terms with the fact that it is not enough for states to seek alignment with national aspirations for sustainable growth and global competitiveness, unless it is matched with ambition. It must be complemented by opportunities that speak for themselves. This is the significance of our theme today, unlocking Imo's economic potential, partnership, investment, and innovation. It invites us to prepare for better days ahead. It reminds us that this summit arrives at the most strategic moment when His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has introduced far-reaching reforms designed to ensure long-term stability for businesses and to anchor prosperity that endures across generations. The promise of Imo State is, I must emphasize, should be the promise of abundance. Even without stretching our imagination, we can see tremendous opportunities in high-growth sectors waiting to be explored. We see strategic use of free trade zones and special agro-processing zones to accelerate value creation. We see expanded gas utilization to power industries and households and to guarantee affordability and reliability. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, across Imo State, we also see the development of digital infrastructure that attracts ICT firms and fuels a modern information-driven economy. We see access to financing opportunities through institutions such as the Bank of Industry, the Development Bank of Nigeria, and our banks in the sector, along with the structured private-public partnerships in housing, transport, and renewable energy. All these possibilities converge to remind us that Imo is not just ready for investment. Imo is primed for transformation. The federal government stands ready to support Imo State in these investment areas. Our role is to work with you to unlock opportunities, to de-risk promising ventures, and to ensure that the benefits of development are felt across communities. To our investors here today, the message is unmistakable. Imo is open for business. Nigeria is open for business. And this government stands as your partner in progress. The world has moved beyond economies that depend solely on natural resources. The most competitive nations today are those that invest in technology, cultivate talent, and place innovation at the center of their development agenda. Imo State must position innovation as a core pillar of its growth strategy, whether in digital entrepreneurship, renewable energy solutions, smart agriculture, precision manufacturing, or the creative economy. Innovation will define the next chapter of economic expansion. The federal government is already implementing programs that empower young innovators, expand digital skills training, support tech clusters and innovation hubs, promote STEM education and foster research and development through partnerships with universities. The young people of Imo are creative, ambitious, and connected to the global knowledge economy. Our duty as a government and as a people is to give them the tools, the platforms, and the confidence to construct the future that awaits them. I wish to appeal to our leaders to come and invest in this country, in Imo, and in all parts of the Federation, because this is a nation waiting to unleash its full potentials. As rightly captured by the former president of Mauritius, 1 out of every 4 black men is a Nigerian. And by 2050, will surpass the United States. Nigeria will be the 3rd most populous nation on earth with a population of 440 million people. And by the end of the century, when all of us here must have become poor tenants in the home of the earthworms, Nigeria will be the most populous nation on earth. So I'm proud to call myself a Nigerian. The average age of the Nigerian nation is 16.9. And the trajectory of global growth is facing Africa. And I dare say that Nigeria will make or mar that transition. The Asian tigers are aging. The former UN Secretary General is 81 years old, and probably he will live for the next 35 years. Taiwan, Korea, China, Malaysia, Singapore, they are all aging. But Africa is a young continent. So I'm not afraid of tomorrow. I'm very confident that with the caliber of leadership we have here, he's building a digital city here in Imo, and all our governors seated here. I was a governor for 8 years. I dare say that in the current democratic dispensation in this country, we have never had a set of governors that are in tune with the needs of the people, that there is pure pressure for them to excel, and that they know their onions better than the present crop of governors. I can mention the accomplishment of each and every one of them in education, in healthcare, in industry, even in the area of humility. Our governors of yesteryears have an exaggerated sense of self-importance, as if the world was created for them. But look at Monday Obekolo. He dresses simple. Look at the governor of Ekiti State. He moves freely in his state capital. My Malabuni is almost a political genius. He knows politics. So, Your Excellencies, of course, my friend, you have started wearing the Niger Delta Bola hat because you are getting profit from oil. Loki Ayedatiwa, Loki Orimishan Ayedatiwa, the executive governor of Ondo State. So, Your Excellencies, Nigeria is a great nation. And we envision a Nigeria where each state contributes its best to the national enterprise. A Nigeria where prosperity flows across regions rather than concentrating in a few urban centers. Imo has an integral role in this region by unlocking its potential through partnership, investment, and innovation. Imo can become a hub for technology, a major contributor to national GDP, a magnet for creative industries, a model of inclusive economic development, and a leading center for SMEs and industrialization. Let this summit conclude not with good ideas alone. Let it lead to commitments that matter. Let it inspire partnerships, funded projects, and measurable outcomes that uplift the lives of the people of Imo State. The true success of today's gathering will be written in the improved livelihoods of communities, in the jobs created for young graduates, and in the businesses that will take root because we came together with a shared purpose. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I reaffirm the full support of the federal government of Nigeria under the able leadership of Boris Tinubu, GCFR, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to support you, Governor Hope Uzodimma, and the government and people of Imo State. We stand prepared to work with the government and people of Imo State, with local and international investors, and with every stakeholder gathered here today. We want to thank you for bringing the literature of the international community. President Wakai, I was there at the swearing-in ceremony, the humble and self-effacing leader. The Margaret Coma British Prime Minister is an institution, globally respected. Deliberately uncared with his bushy hair, but he's one of the smartest people that have ever ruled Britain. The former UN Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon, we are most grateful. The former President of Mauritius, Amina Bakib, we are most grateful. The Prime Minister of Sao Tome and Principe, I was there at your independence anniversary. We are most grateful. And of course, all of you here, we stand with you. We adore you, we respect you, and we'll keep this partnership going. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, as you make your way down, you will just wait where your details are for a quick photo, as I will invite the following persons to join you in that photo. Your Excellency, our...
As una don't see am now, na the end of day one be this so. Una know say the summit na 2-day event. Day one end with group photograph of all the dignitaries we attend. As una dey see am for una screen, His Excellency Governor Hope Uzodimma, the Vice President of Nigeria, Shetima Kashim, Her Excellency Lady Chinyere Ekomaro, the Deputy Governor of Imo State, international leaders, top government officials and governors, and many other important personalities. Oya, make we carry una enter day 2 of the event. After introduction and gbogbo, the first person wey talk na the CEO and founder of Xenox Group, Dr. Leonard Stanley Eke. He talk many things wey really enter. Oya, make we listen to wetin him talk.
When you look at where we are coming from, you can only thank God that we're still there. But those doubting Thomases, a lot of us live in this state, and I support the governor of Imo State, Governor Hope Uzodimma, 100%. Only fools don't support their own. You can't support foreigners and you abandon yours, even where they are the states will correct it. Now, I'm in the digital world, and that's a new economy. Okay, I'm from Imo State, my father from Imo State, my mother from Imo State, my wife from Imo State. So I'm a big stakeholder, and that's why I'm the largest employer of civilized Imo people in this country. And I believe God had a purpose also bringing me from here. Like I say, I'm from Owerri. My wife is from Olo. I was born in Ofiwe. So it is a very clear description that I have to be faithful and sincere to this country, to this state, and then the country by extension. So we need to support our own. The governor might not make a lot of noise about what he's doing. When he came in, I told him, I said, the greatest thing you give people is knowledge. People who are well educated, well informed, are global citizens. And they listen and set up the biggest investment, as far as I'm concerned, in Imo State, which I call the Knowledge City, where Dr. Amadi, the Commissioner for Information Technology, is in charge. You might not rate the economy. If you rate the value of those people he has produced. You now know the power of this economy, but they just need a little bit more of incubation period. So I just want to tell all of you, because technology is coming up live. If you have 2 children, put one in technology. You have something to do with computer science. Technology comes with humility, but it comes with big money. Money only you can mention to the society, they don't know how you get it. So if you have 2 children as an Igbo man, as a Nigerian, put one in technology. He's a global citizen. If God wants to bless your family, He must bless you with technology. Nothing else. It's not construction, it's not farming. Technology money is big money. Now, coming from this poor state, people say, but I view the biggest technology company in the country. It's not arguing. Technology is not arguing. It's either you are right or you are wrong. And I view 360 degrees. But I do read computer science. I was discouraged in Park City University from reading computer science, that Africa will not see computer in 30 years, commercially. That makes sense. But the truth is that I've done the biggest project in the country, and I'm still doing it. And in technology, you don't need a godfather. If you're a global citizen, you don't need a godfather. They will need you when they need you, and they pay you the right thing at the right time. So I just want to appeal to you, building large houses, 20-story building is reserved. If you are kids, I'm not saying they must read computer science. I have about 233 coders. Only 14% read computer science. And they are always fit. This is why I came here. That things have changed. There's a new economy, new money. And 9% sit with technology. I don't want to waste your time. I just want to first of all appreciate my governor for taking the time to put this together. And I was very proud. Imo people turned out the traditional people, the reverend priests. I was touched that the family comes from this state. And I thank Aliko for popping in. So today, I'm sure I have some investors here. The biggest investment is in knowledge. We need to put our schools right. And to commit to this state, because if God has given you a blessing from a state, you must give to that state. You must return and give to that state, no matter who you are. And I will continue to invest in this state. In the last 11 years, we took a good pound. I put 2 billion every year, but last year I put more. 2026, I'm going to put 5 billion in educational institutions. When I left here yesterday, my state cannot be second class. When I left here yesterday, I went to inspect Holy Ghost College, the building I'm doing. That center in Holy Ghost College is the biggest important AI learning center in the whole of South. And I was commissioning before the end of February. So I'm pleading with you that vehicles are not worthy of wealth. Big buildings are not sure of wealth. Sustenance is critical. So give your children the best education. Even if you don't know what to do in the school, you need to encourage them to open their minds to take things. I might have the capacity to speak everything I want to speak. But spiritually, and with the government of the Imo State, spiritually and with the people of the Imo State, even yesterday while I was driving from the airport, I said, can I get some accountants? Can I get some auditors? Can I get smart people? I'm training people to have a center in Imo State University, producing 200 entrepreneurs every 3 months. Okay? Supporting them. But we need to do more. If you're a rich man, you are not contributing to this state where you'll be buried. You are not a purposeful person. Okay. So if you have those brilliant kids, and I'll give you an example, this digital center, I told them for next vacation, I'll pick children from poor families who make get to first to top position. Every holiday, because during the holiday the school is vacant, all the secondary schools are vacant. They have a host. I think the best. What I want to produce is Imo State, I think, will replace your style. So I keep them there and bringing partners from abroad. I brought Microsoft to Nigeria. I brought the Most to Africa. I brought HP to Nigeria. I brought Lenovo to Nigeria. So we have capacity, or we need a decent environment. Stop fighting, blackmailing for 20,000, 5 million, when the bigger picture is there. Okay. So I'm not here. Can't for me spiritually. I'm not a politician, and I will never play politics. I chose my part. Okay? And for whatever you do for Imo State, the government will bless your family, your children, because you must sow the seed. When you are giving donations in Lagos, in Abuja, everywhere, remember Imo State and support the government. Don't debrand this state. If you have problem with the governor, call the governor. It's accessible. And chat with him. But don't debrand the state. Things have changed in Nigeria. Nigeria is being driven by knowledgeable people. No more doubt. So we must consciously, like the governor is doing, the next 5, 10 years, build people who can defend their wealth anywhere. A lot of billionaires can't defend their wealth in Africa. So this is why I just say, I'm excited to come from this stage. Frankly, anytime I'm planning Imo State Airport, my blood pressure comes down. And I start looking for corn or beer. Unfortunately, I have not been able to find this time. Okay, so if you come from such a state, what are you looking for? Money is a right in 24th century. Call your children, talk to them, but they must come with humility. Any arrogant person who says he has money doesn't have money. Every rich man is humble. So I really want to appreciate you. I continue to pray for you. When the Archbishop showed me the cathedral, it was still our cathedral. Now it looks like the one in the Basilica. Isn't it? Have you gone there? God planted this place before the war. And it wasn't shut down, it wasn't brought down, it didn't scratch. Go in there and pray tomorrow Sunday. Oh, sorry, next tomorrow Sunday. You will see God from a different perception. So there are miracles in this day. I have brilliant boy, AKG. You have one of the best global boys out of this state. I experienced your boy. Is that part of the game? Yes. So if you have those children who are bright, please, everybody has my phone number, don't hide it. But when they come in the village, I answer them. If you are brilliant kids, mostly those from poor homes, please send them to me, send me a WhatsApp, send me, I will help direct them. We need to build the next set of billionaires out of this. So I really want to thank you, the organizers. You are wonderful. I know the experience you've gone through in the last 1 week. Okay, but God will continue to bless you for staying faithful to this state. okay, and count on people like us to intervene. But like I said, I'm not a politician, okay? I come in with a whole lot of spirituality. Every Imo man has common sense. In 21st century, if you have common sense and add technology, you are a global citizen. God bless you. Thank you very much.
This elegant, cerebral woman told me the governor has trusted me with this special project, and we will work night and day for its success. A lady very much after my heart, graduate of the Obafemi Awolowo University, and then went on to the university that my husband calls the premier university. That's where he went to. We will not go into the matter of whether it is better than ABU, where I went to, but it's an ongoing conversation. The lady went to the University of Ibadan for her higher degrees. So she comes from some of the finest schools in Nigeria. She leads the efforts to build and manage a Rashi Free Zone, a major industrial and energy infrastructure initiative aimed at leveraging natural resources, especially gas, in the region to attract investment, create jobs, and drive industrialization. She's described as a multi-skilled professional with almost 30 years extensive experience across key sectors. As a woman in a predominantly male-dominated sector, oil, gas, industrial infrastructure, she represents increasing, though still limited, gender inclusion by executive leadership in Nigeria's energy industry. You help me give a warm Imo State Economic Summit 2025 welcome to Dr. Chioma Nwachukwu, who serves as the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Arashi Special Energy Free Zone, which is popularly known as Dr. C. Thank you very much for that warm welcome, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for watching the video. I know you have seen the video, you have seen the booklet. Thank you so much. Yes, please permit me to give you a little more information about Arashi Special Energy Free Zone. Let me start by saying Your Excellency Senator Hope Uzodimma, a visionary leader of the state, Her Excellency Lady Chinere, good afternoon, industry leaders, government leaders, global investors here with us, development partners, very good people of Imo State, a very good afternoon. And please permit me to stand on the well-established protocol. Today, we gather here at an important moment, not only for our state, but for our region and for our continent. The world is undergoing a profound shift. Energy is being redefined. Logistics is being rewired. Manufacturing is returning to regions with talent and resilience. And investors everywhere are searching for environment where purpose and opportunity align. I stand before you here today with confidence that Imo State is one of those places. Imo State is one of those places where there is purpose and alignment of opportunity. And the Arashi Special Energy Free Zone is a platform that will carry us into the future. Before I proceed, allow me to express my sincere appreciation to Professor Benedetto Rama, all the eloquent speakers who have spoken very well about the free zone and what it has to offer in Imo State. They have indeed shaping our understanding of the scale of opportunities before us, the free energy free state zone. It is more than an industrial land.
It is more than infrastructure. It is more than incentives. It is a platform designed to convert our natural gas wealth, our strategic waterways, our international cargo airports, our skilled people into a powerful engine for industrialization, innovation, competitiveness, export growth, and shared prosperity. It is a promise that we can build industries that endure, industries that can scale, businesses that provide opportunities that can uplift our community. And the world has shown us that this is possible. Global economic history reveals that every region will rise when they have the courage to imagine more. Singapore imagined more when it built its free trade zone on a reclaimed swamp. And today, Johor is a global manufacturing powerhouse. Dubai imagined more when it built Jebel Ali free trade zone on a desert. Today, it is an anchor of one of the world's most powerful trade corridors. Morocco imagined more when it developed Tagaim, and today is a magnet for automotive and industrial multinationals. And back home here in Nigeria imagined more when we created the Lekki Free Trade Zone, and today it's one of the Africa's fastest growing industrial corridors. So these success stories, what do they show us? They show us three things: vision, discipline, and partnership. These are the three models Orashi Free Trade Zone have built its model on. Let me expatiate more on our model, the Orashi way. At Orashi, we have developed a model built for global competitiveness and long-term success. One, we anchor on energy. Located at the heart of Nigerians' gas basin, we can reliably power industries from LNG to methanol to fertilizer, petrochemicals, and power with competitive pricing and dependable supply. We build around world-class logistics. We are integrating a dredged inland port linkage to the Atlantic Ocean. An international cargo airport is being revived. Strategic highways are being built by our governor. Marine and aviation support systems are being put in place. We are connecting Imo to global and regional linkages that has never been, in a way that has never been done before. We cluster industries for scale. Focused industrial clusters will drive heavy industry, petrochemicals, fabrication and steel, agro-processing, export manufacturing, automotive assembly. Clustering enhances efficiency, specialization, and global competitiveness. Again, we remove barriers to global markets. With the African Center for Quality Assurance, we make sure that manufacturers have an opportunity to get their goods certified to meet the US, the EU, and any international standard, and their goods be ready for export. And then we embrace technology and smart security. We have heard so much about security this morning, so we have the comfort we're on the right path. So with that, what we're doing, we're having digitalized utilities, integrated surveillance systems, smart access control, and a central command center that ensures safety, efficiency, and world-class operations. 6, we provide investor-centric governance. A regulatory environment built on efficiency, transparency, and predictability. We shared this morning. If you look at the brochure, you will see all the benefits you stand to gain from the regulatory, from tax reduction to no paying of tax, immigration matters solved. We integrate it into a one-stop shop. That is what is being planned. So once you have become part of Orashi, you are left to manage your business and spend the time you need to succeed on doing the management of the business. And lastly, we have the Imo advantage. And what am I calling the Imo advantage? Is the power of our people. Beyond gas, logistics, and incentives, one of our greatest competitive advantage is our people. Imo State offers a large, educated, and capable workforce, known for professionalism, resilience, adaptability, and entrepreneurial drive. This human capital is the engine that ensures Orashi is ready to build, ready to scale, and ready to lead as a truly competitive industrial ecosystem. So what does this mean for Imo State? It means jobs for thousands of our young people. It means new industries taking root, SMEs integrated into global value chains, higher export volumes, strengthened infrastructure, a more resilient investor-driven economy. Orashi Special Energy Free Zone is indeed a generational upliftment. A generational upliftment because once the ecosystem stands, it will be there forever. It will outlive all of us. So why do we think we will succeed? Why do we think we will make this mark and be successful? It's because we have the resources, we have the logistics, we have the infrastructure, we have the partnership, we have the governance, we have the global demand, and above all, we have our people who believe that nothing is impossible. Our success is not abstract, it is practical, it is measurable and achievable. So for this reason, I call our global investors. Some of them I have seen in the room who have been speaking with us to come into the zone. I say call on you and institutions and partners, and as well as everybody who has a contribution to make to our success, that let us know that the world is shifting, supply chains are being reconfigured, manufacturers are seeking production hubs, Africa population is expanding, so is demand. The fundamentals are strong. The leadership is aligned, and the opportunity is real. Join us, not only to invest, but to help shape a new chapter in Africa's industrial future. I want to close by expressing my profound gratitude to His Excellency Senator Hope Uzodimma for his leadership and steadfast commitment to advancing the transformational agenda of Orashi Free Zone. To AfriZin, our partners, to the Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority, who provides us the regulatory support, the Nigerian Inland Waterways, who were working assiduously to bring the ports into reality, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, who is working to revive the Cargo International Terminal, and all our global partners. My gratitude also to industry leaders, innovators, and our immediate communities who have welcomed us with so much joy, and our all very resilient people of Imo State. I stand with heartfelt gratitude, and I want to say, please, we invite you to join us to build and prosper. And I would like to close with 3 words that define the future we believe in, which is invest, build, and prosper. Thank you very much. Imo State has been very, very instrumental. One of my oldest friends, who our paths have crossed in so many different ways, is from the state. Our paths have crossed over 30 years, and today we are still working on putting together a national structure for disaster risk financing in agriculture. And Imo State is going to be one of those states that becomes the primary one for that. I've been asked here, and by default, my late mom is also grew up in this state, so I feel connected to Imo State, even if I am an Enahoro from Edo. I speak to you today because our sister, Dr. C, just gave us a very, very incredible vision. That incredibility does not work if the state that is the second largest producer of cassava cannot convert cassava into cash. I will skip, I have a whole list of a speech to make, but I will speak to you directly from the heart. Dr. Hope Uzodimma has tried to do something that a lot of governors shy away from. Take the long road that is not very, very popular, but try as much as possible to develop value chains rather than just projects. If you have a free trade zone that has energy put in there, we should be talking about agro-processing for Imo State. Bordering around you are producers of food. Imo State is this nation's second largest producer of cassava. Forget what they tell you about Benue and Ondo. Imo State does cassava. We should not be looking at Gary for any reason not coming out of the state, especially if you have a free trade zone. Imo State has one of the largest women farming organizations in the country. Imo Women Farm. I know the stats. I have the stats. I insure Imo Women. You have close to 13,000 small cooperatives. If you have 13,000 small cooperatives of 20 members each, we should not be having challenges in food processing. If we have a problem with Gary, check Imo. If Imo is not distributing Gary, then Nigeria has a problem. And let's call it what it is. I am not going to read from a pretext speech. I am going to talk to you as a son who is looking at the smart people in this room. Industrialization in Imo is not new. Transferring from farm to processing to agro into international products is something that is within the wherewithal of the state. You don't have to generate anything else new because this is what you do. But when I listen to Dr. C and see the work that they've done in the free trade zone, I am pleading with the leaders of this state to be able to look at agro-processing as one of the key drivers for this state to become one of the most economic blocks in the country. It doesn't take too much from where Imo State is. I took a drive out to try to go to the free trade zone because I really wanted to see for myself everything I heard yesterday. I am telling you, I am impressed beyond words. And this has nothing to do with anything. I am impressed beyond words. When you have a program like Freelia is saying that if you want to farm, come to us. We have the capacity to be able to allow you farm and produce goods. The only thing I have not heard is where are the multitudes? Why are we not seeing that avalanche of people going to the States to say this is what we want to do? Going international, Imo has already been international.
Your Gary is in London, your Gary is in the United States, your Gary is everywhere. If you pick up a pack, there are only 2 states that ship Gary, Ondo and Imo. Check any store in London, check in the US, check anywhere. You will find, if you're not seeing an Ondo, you will see somewhere from Imo. Your snails are already in Belgium. So if we're having pockets of this type of things, you now have Filia that says that this is what we want to do as a government. I think the drive must be able to support that. Where are the people who farm? Our farmers in Imo State, unfortunately, are one of the oldest in the demographics. Why are young people not going to the farms? When you have programs like this, I want to use this junction because I have 3 to 4 minutes. I want to use this junction to plead with the Imo State government. Having this amazing program does not do anything for anyone if we cannot reach a lot of people to take over what their fathers have done. The world is going industrial. Regardless of what AI does, people have to feed. Regardless of technological advancements in the world, people have to eat. So let me use this opportunity to please talk to the Imo State people. Let us support the work that a visionary like Dr. Hope Uzodimma is doing. To the government and the good people of Imo State, it is with immense, optimistic, and very, 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 very exciting view that I stand here to tell you that the state is gearing up for something that is truly, truly, truly big and something that can really change the economic dynamics of the state. It is based on that I am very strongly encouraging that the programs that is being driven under the free trade zone should be definitely encouraged. Investments from private sector, like my big brother Imo State has said, everyone should try to invest, not just in technology, but in food production and processing. Imo State already has the wherewithal to start that and be able to run with that. So, for me, I have been given a time limit. I would love to talk to you. What I can say is this year, I have insured 400,000 Nigerian farmers. 11,000 of them are from this state. But the government has not invested in risk mitigation for farmers. The 11,000 people are insured are from private sector drivers and private sector people. Here I am. I would love to promise the state that if I can get the state to ensure, the state ready to ensure, I will match the state. I will match the state for any money it's willing to pay to ensure its farmers 50-50. I have that authority. If the state is ready to insure 100,000 farmers and they're willing to pay for risk mitigation for them, I will match them 50-50. So I need to have somebody from the Ministry of Agri come look for me, come and find me, and let us sit down and look at what we can do for the wet season, and let us see how much food we can produce and get people insured. And if the state can raise that type of amount and raise the people, I will match them for whatever they put on the table. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, my leaders, captains of industry who are here, the statecrafters in politics who are also here, the community of innovators who are here. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, let me start by putting a disclaimer to what Chief Aliko said, that all he wanted to say, that I'll be able to say it nicely. I think my feet can't really fit into Chief Aliko's shoe, but we are trying to do something about it. But this afternoon, I would like to tell a very interesting story on how the digital journey of Imo State has been able to transform the landscape of digital ecosystem not just in Imo, but within the Southeast region and also in Nigeria. His Excellency Distinguished Senator Hope Uzodimma, who is incidentally the District Governor of Nigeria, was the first governor, and Imo became the first subnational to create the Ministry of Digital Economy and E-Governance. Since after that, at our last count, we've had more than 15 other states in Nigeria taking the cue, and they are emulating what I call the best example on how to use technology to transform the society, create a better society, and be able to create jobs for our youth, be able to transform an economy that people before now never thought existed, and create hope for people who have lost hope. The Ministry of Digital Economy and E-Government actually, in this summit, would like to expose the areas where we think the investors who are seated in this room should actually look at. What we are doing is swimming against the tide. We are trying to contest against what I call the container economy. Our people, we are vast and strong when it comes to trade and commerce. And here we are talking about a new economy. And Imo is championing that cause, that there could be another way of looking at growing an economy like that of Imo State and other states that has comparable indices, developmental indices like Imo State, especially in Africa. We all know that we are battling with high youth unemployment. We all know that Imo is a victim of his own success, having the highest literacy in Nigeria since the past 5 years, having the greatest entrepreneurial mind in Nigeria. Imo's success seems to be his own challenge. And what His Excellency did as a transformative leader is to look at other areas that would help muster the energy of our youth to support the growth of a new economy that never existed in our states. Hence, he talked about the digital economy. Digital economy has the power to drive innovation, motivate new startup, creates new set of industries, and drive digital industrialization. And today, Imo, I can proudly say, has been one of the best examples that others are copying. And here lies the opportunity. Because of our successful Skill Up Imo program, which we've been able to train more than 50,000 digital talents in different and diverse digital skills. Today, we can proudly boast of exporting, not just retaining, but also exporting digital talents in software development, in cryptocurrency, in blockchain, in artificial intelligence, in graphic design, content development, and other high-level technical skills, which before now we used to import into Imo, but now we are net exporters of such digital talent, courtesy of the vision of this great leader. And most industries, what they are looking for is highly optimized technical talents. You want to build an AI model that could transform different sectors in anywhere in the world. Where you must start is having the people with the right talent, having the people with the right knowledge. If we're able to create the enabling environment and place people with the right talent and knowledge, then you can create that industry of the future. And in Imo, we're already doing so. Again, if you're a new startup and you want what I might consider comparably a cheap talent compared to any other African state or continent, you will see that in Imo, the army of people we have trained are ready to plug in their industry ready from day one to support the growth of that industry and be able to achieve the ambition of that industry. Again, there are areas such as AI. I learned the panel, they talked about the value of AI. AI has transformed a whole lot in the world today. AI drives almost everything we do. Imo State, within the context of the Imo Digital City, which His Excellency has built, is creating the first artificial intelligence center in Nigeria, and nothing can match it. Within the Imo Digital City, we are building the most robust, most equipped artificial intelligence center, where AI models can be built, trained, and deployed for industry purposes. And we are already training some of the solutions that we have homegrown from Imo State, such as precision agriculture. One of our founders has deployed a lot of resources to build this AI that will help support the agri sector in Imo State and beyond. Then you talk about the cryptocurrency facilities. Cryptocurrency is one other aspect of digital technology where opportunity avails itself in Imo State. You need to build high-density cryptocurrency facilities. Around the Orashi Uguta axis, you have such enabling environment. With what Orashi Electricity is doing to supply 24-hour electricity, you need high-quality cryptocurrency or high-intense cryptocurrency facility, which could help grow the economy of Imo State. There are people who are interested in doing such facility because of the river around that area that will ensure cooling systems for these data centers that where cryptos are mined. That presents a great opportunity for any investor who is interested in building technology facilities in Imo State. And if the opportunity is there, Orashi Free Trade Zone will support you to ensure that all approvals are got. And within the people we have trained from Skill Up Imo, they are there to support you, make sure that from day one, you are able to deploy services, not just for Imo State, but to the entire world, because such facilities are scarce globally. And in Imo State, you have opportunity to invest in cryptocurrency mining. Another one is the market in Imo State. Imo State is naturally endowed. Because of our geographical advantage, we enjoy equidistance to a market size of over 16 million Nigerians. We enjoy equidistance with Rivers State, with Enugu State, with Anambra State, with Delta State, with Abia State. Combined market size of these states is over 66 million. So if we're able to set up companies like device manufacturing companies, either as partial knockdown companies or fully knockdown companies, you will be able to access some of these markets that are beckoning for digital services. Your devices will be sold and people who are ready to buy them, not just in Imo State, are also there. So Imo is ready for digital businesses. Imo is ready because we have the digital talents that are already trained, ready to be deployed, ready to be harnessed, ready to be plugged, and are ready to play. So I welcome you. Join us in building the most efficient, most transformative digital economy southeast of the Niger. Thank you so much.
Our esteemed leaders, visionaries, royal fathers, innovators, and my dear brothers and sisters of Imo State. Today, I stand before you with profound pride and gratitude. Pride because this land has shaped me, nurtured me, and given me a sense of purpose. And gratitude because together we can imagine and build a future worthy for our children. I bring warm greetings from the Federal Ministry of Finance, and I stand here not only as a public servant, but as a daughter of this soil and someone who believes deeply in the potentials of this state. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it fills me with great joy to join you at this year's Imo Economic Summit, convened under the visionary leadership of one of Nigeria's finest, one of Africa's brightest, and one of the world's most courageous and forward-looking statesmen, His Excellency, distinguished Senator Hope Uzodimma. He is not only a governor, he is an architect of possibility, a leader whose courage is matched by clarity, whose intellect is matched by integrity. And by convening this summit, he reminds us that leadership is not a position, it is a mission. It is the power to shape thoughts, to steer policy, and to ignite hope. I count it a blessing to learn from his example and to draw from his wisdom and from the wisdom of Mr. President as we work together to transform this great country. My brothers and sisters, today's gathering is far more than an event. It is a turning point. It is a declaration that Imo State will no longer be defined by its challenges, but by its possibilities. That we will no longer talk about potential, we are here to activate it. That we will no longer wait for the future, but we will build it with our own hands, our own minds, and our own hearts. Across Nigeria, a new wind is blowing, a wind of diversification, reform, resilience, and renewal. This administration is committed to building a nation where prosperity is shared, where opportunities are real, and where every citizen, no matter their background, can rise. And to encourage investment into states, the federal government has done a lot of reforms, and I'll just mention a few of them. One, the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Fund, which we know about. This fund was created to directly fund and assist states to fund infrastructure development. Capital market reforms have been done to help states to raise long-term capital from the capital market. Insurance sector reform to help the states to further de-risk investment, and crowding guarantees to support investors who are coming into any state. FX and macro stability that we have done has given clarity and predictability to investors who are looking to invest in Nigeria. We've revamped the security architecture, further strengthening our hope, especially in Imo State. And I thank the visionary governor for what he's done in bringing about greater security for this state. We are encouraging more public-private partnerships and providing concessionary finance, vendor finance, backed by sovereign guarantees to support more investment within states. And the recent one is the World Development Plan to support the development within different works in the states. But hear me clearly, Imo State is not just a participant in this national renewal. Imo State has been called to lead it. We have everything required for greatness. A brilliant entrepreneurial people, a global diaspora influencing every corner of the world, natural and human resources of immense value, a government committed to progress, and a youth population that is gifted, restless, innovative, and hungry to change the world. However, greatness is never automatic. It is built upon pillars that we must strengthen together, and this includes partnerships, the power of coming together. The story of development everywhere in the world is the story of partnership. When governments, private sector, development partners, academia, and our communities coming together in one direction, nothing is impossible. Partnership multiplies our strength, partnerships accelerate our impact, and partnership builds the type of prosperity that we want. Investment. Every great economy is built by those who are bold enough to invest in it. Imo needs bold investments, both in infrastructure, agriculture, digital economy, manufacturing, green industries, and the creative economy. The Federal Ministry of Finance stands ready to support an environment where investors feel confident, protected, and empowered. Because where investment flows, transformation follows. innovation, lighting the path forward. In a world that's changing at lightning speed, innovation is not optional, it is existential. Imo must rise as a hub of new ideas, new industries, and new solutions. Our young people, who are ingenious, resilient, courageous, are our most powerful resources. When we unlock their creativity, we also unlock our own destiny. We must continue to invest in education, entrepreneurial development, infrastructure and power, financing, and long-term partnerships to unlock investment opportunities within Imo State. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the future we dream of will not descend upon us from heaven. We must build it, and we must choose it, and we must commit to it. Let this summit mark the dawn of a new imagination for Imo State, an imagination where prosperity is not the privilege of a few, but the inheritance of many, where our children dream bigger because we dared to act boldly, where Imo stands as a tall beacon of innovation, partnership, and investment. Once again, I would like to congratulate our father, His Excellency Governor Hope Uzodimma, for his foresight in convening this summit and bringing the world to Imo State. I celebrate every partner, every investor, every dreamer who believes in Imo, and I reaffirm on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Finance that we stand with Imo fully, firmly, and faithfully as we unlock the limitless promise of our great state. May God bless you, may God bless Imo State, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Until waiting that they call panel discussion. Now here experts sit down, discuss based on different topics and industries for Imo and how everything fit better the economic future of the state. The first panel discussion now about tourism as an economic catalyst, culture, heritage, and destination investment.
Cultural heritage, natural assets like Oguta Lake, the Mbari Cultural Center Corridor, vibrant nightlife, and a fast-growing hospitality ecosystem. Yes, the state still faces gaps, destination branding, infrastructure, signage, safety systems, hospitality standards, digital visibility, and access to financing for creative enterprise. And so the panelists joining me today are going to be helping us walk through the infrastructure, the development, and what we essentially need to make Imo State a destination tourist attraction. So without further ado, Dr. Ennis, I'll be starting with you, sir.
Thank you, Sasha. And let me use this opportunity to welcome all the participants to today's session. Most of us were here yesterday, and a lot of grounds were made here yesterday. We are happy to have such a vibrant and visionary governor in the person of His Excellency, distinguished Senator Hope Uzodimma. The firepower, intellectual, political, and social that attended this session yesterday was amazing and unprecedented. So I'm very happy for the opportunity to share some thoughts on this global platform. The keynote presented by His Excellency yesterday articulated his vision in his usual way, and it generally took us through the roadmap and the steps already taken to realize the expected outcomes. A very, very audacious vision. And as you could see from his presentation yesterday, a lot of steps have already been taken. What we need to do is then to build on his leadership, to get Imo State mobilized behind this initiative. What the governor has started is exactly how many of the thriving jurisdictions started.
And we go to Lagos today and we see a totally different country from Nigeria. And it's not magic. It's just the vision of leadership and how the citizens followed the leadership. So 3 key milestones have already been highlighted. One is the Orashi Special Energy Free Trade Zone. The second one is the power project, the Orashi Power Project. And the third one is something you don't see or feel, but something that has been going on, as many of us who are involved and part of the whole ecosystem in Imo State can testify to. The digital economy framework. It is so important that these 3 steps have been taken because they represent a major shift in the traditional approach of successive governments when they are relating with the oil and gas industry. I talk about the oil and gas industry in this session because that's actually where I've been since I graduated 40-something years ago. Now, the traditional focus of government relationship with the oil and gas industry over the past decades will be like, oh, how can we get more for ISOPA deck? How can we get NDDC to do more for our state? Sign GMOs with oil companies, get the IOCs to do community development, all things around CSR. And the discussions were centered around development projects, employment of our youth, quota, homage, and such ordinary handouts. But as you know, Ohaje Ubuta has been on the petroleum map for as long as many of us here have been alive. You know, and I've spent over 48 years in the oil and gas industry. So anyone that has been in that industry knows about that free zone area, the importance of Ohaje Ubuta in the gas footprint of Nigeria. Yet the sustainable impact of these activities in this area or in the state has been elusive for over 5 decades. Now, we have mentioned Ubuta Ohaje Ubuta severally for petrochemicals, for LNG, for fertilizer, but none of them came to pass. Why? Because there was no strong government lobby to bring these things to happen. So if recent developments by CEFLAB, Gas, Walter Smith, NCDMB, Renaissance, and Sterling have introduced exciting dynamics to our catchment, the strategic move being made now by our governor presents a transformative shift that literally connects Imo State to the vibrant segment of the energy corridor stretching from rivers through Bayelsa and Delta. We are all oil-producing states, 9 of us. We all belong to NDDC. We all get the revenue allocation things. But in Imo State, the actual dynamics of the oil industry have eluded us. I can tell you about the gas master plan infrastructure, passes through all the states, just comes into Imo State to take gas from Imo State, but the major infrastructure is not in Imo State. That story is the same for all the different major life activities in the oil and gas industry. But that has changed now. I can tell you, in my former life as the ES of NCDMB, I was frequently consulted by investors, vendors, and OEMs. OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers, who needed advice on location of their facilities to comply with the local content law. Naturally, I refer them to Imo State. And I refer them to Ohaje Ubuta because genuinely, that is a key location that you should actually locate your facilities in Nigeria.
But they always came back to tell me that they are choosing alternative locations because they didn't see any incentive. Imo could not compete for these investments, but this has changed. This has all changed because of these new developments. I can tell you very quickly, Moderator, you're looking at me like you want me to stop?
Well, not stop. I just had a specific question with regards to tourism, but everything you're sharing is informative, and that's why I'm not interrupting you.
Okay,
Please go ahead.
you see, this is the background that you can use for the tourism thing. I think that it's important to get this through and then set it. So, the implications of being connected to the energy corridor is great. It is the foundation for any of the linkages you're trying to discuss with tourism, right? So it's important that we grasp it, imbibe it, and go for it. And any citizen of Imo State that is here should pay attention. The opportunities that this simple step will unlock are boundless. So I want to say that it will diversify the value chain downstream and midstream. You will now begin to see investors say, should I go to Onne free trade zone? What are the advantages in Onne? Or should I go to Orashi? Before that choice wasn't there. It's being created now. The free trade zone is right in the corridor to the airport. There's Orashi River, there's Uguta Lake, there are developments around those things. And just to make you happy, tourism will flow into those features. Now, the opportunities that come from these investments are, you cannot overemphasize them, because starting with employment. When governments tell you we're employing this number of people, a lot of those employments are just budget provisions. The work we give to these people from budget provisions is just to go to the office. But here, you're going to see productive employment. When people go out to a free trade zone, to industrial complexes, the employment is employment that drives knowledge, drives productivity, and drives growth, national economic growth. So we want to focus on such things as outfall from these things that we are presenting today. A strong supply chain anchored in Imo State, anchored around the free trade zone, taking advantage of all those advantages that are listed in the brochures, is what we'll be looking for. I want to say that the Onne free trade zone started like a very small facility, just to let people know that this vision is real. Anybody who went to Onne when it was Naiputex was just like an ordinary company. But because of the policy of government to create the free trade zone there, Onne became like an industrial complex. $1 billion, $1 trillion industrial complex. Lekki free trade zone is less than 20 years old, maybe 15. Today, Dangote refinery, the world's biggest refinery, is there. There is no other reason why Dangote refinery is in Lekki other than the fact that there's a free trade zone there. So we should be looking at the free trade zone in Orashi as something for the future and near future, not even far. Another key example is Lador. Lador free trade zone was just signed by 2010. By 2014, because it was given a free trade status, Samsung built a $500 million facility there, where the first integration of an FPSO was built. And then one of our sons, Engineer Charlton Walker, was in charge of that project when he was in Total. So these things are real. But they won't work if the government making those policies are struggling alone and our business people are not keying in. So this is a call
for our business community to join the government in this move. The digital economy that has formed the foundation of this activity is very, very important. Skilling up our youth is very key, because it's one of the things that people want to invest in the free zone.
Yeah.
We'll be looking for. Can we get labor? Can we get skilled labor in that catchment? So if there's time for us to be working towards that, we have to expose the youth to AI, skilled towards manufacturing and logistics. We have to organize sensitization sessions between the contractors, the vendors that are already operating in Imo State, so that they are all prepared. But in the final analysis, we have to anticipate the new market that is going to overrun us in Imo State here. I'm not just being optimistic. This is realistic. I've seen it happen in my own working life. Things that were never contemplated. Nigerians holding, being in charge of multi-billion-dollar projects and doing it well. So this new state movement is something that I am very happy about, and I believe that every son and daughter of Imo State should support it and work with the governor and his team to make it a reality. Thank you for giving me a
Thank you for that riveting setting the framework. And I think it actually is fantastic, because I was going to ask you, as a specialist in cultural asset development, my question to you, and that's why I like that and create the framework of what actually exists right now. My question to you would be, there are many cultural sites in Imo State that lack structural management systems. What sustainable frameworks should the state build in order to support that? What should be the first action?
Okay, a few years ago, if you asked me this question, you would have confused me completely. But luckily, when I left office, I decided to go into community service. And one of the things we did is to set up a restart in Uguta. Uguta was recognized by the Eastern Nigerian government as a center for culture, tourism. So the cultural week activities used to be held on Uguta Lake. Imo State as a state is a culturally advanced state. And that is why Owerri used to have an influx of people from all over the country and even outside to enjoy our culture. It's the people. It's the people. So to have a structured framework is something that needs to be done. I am proprietor. We are talking amongst ourselves. How do we develop tourism outside just going to sleep on a hotel bed? Absolutely. The tourism is supposed to be something that you build an infrastructure where people say, I'm going to Imo State, I'm going to look at this artifact, I'm going to look at this activity. There are cultural festivals, there's a cultural calendar. This is what we are working with as a group of hotel operators. And we are interested in giving government the ideas that will help them build this structure you're talking about.
Yeah, so from your perspective, what would the first thing to do on your wish list? What's the best?
On my wish list is sustain this security infrastructure that is in place. Let's reduce the negative news, right? We have an airport. Yes. You see, we have natural resources. I can tell you, there are many historical places that we can go to. There are palaces of traditional rulers. There are deposits, geological deposits. There are artifacts here and there. There are vestiges of colonial rule. There are trading outposts here and there. We have so many things. I have in catalog where I want to take tourists to. But the first thing the tourists ask is it safe? Is it accessible? So when we come out now and we see that the road to Uguta, for instance, from the airport, you are driving on 9 long tar. You're not stepping up the road till you get to my hotel. Who built that road? For me, it's Governor Hope Uzodimma. You understand? I can tell you, as somebody who flies the Owerri Onitsha road, there was a spot in Nlidi that during the rainy season, you could not pass through. For many years, that was when they will resurface it and it will come back again the next year. Governor Uzodimma has fixed that road in such a way that it can never spoil again. So I don't work for the government, so I feel free to say these things without fear. So these are the things that tourists want to see. Tourists want to be able to plan. If I come to Owerri, I get picked up from the airport, they take me to Owerri, I have my Owerri. I go to this some nice club, I dance Egwu Jigida, I then go to Oguta, I eat my fresh fish, I go on the lake, I see the confluence of Orashi and Ogwide. You know, the talk about Orashi, and I'm going to tell the government this straight up. Orashi doesn't stand alone. Oguta Lake and the Orashi River are married. I know you don't know that. I do. Now, Oguta Lake is called Ogwide. Orashi is Orashi. Orashi and Ogwide are husband and wife. So making Orashi flower flag without saying Oguta Orashi, it's like you're dividing a marriage. Yeah. So on a serious note, there are so many things that the tourists want to see, and a lot of them are already doing that.
Thank you so much for that. Guna, I hope you're not feeling lonely over there. I'm coming to you. So you have a very specific ask. As a leader in the visual arts, it's not just enough to draw people in. So now we fix safety and people want to come to Imo State. I'd like to know from your visual arts perspective, what key investments or structures are required for Imo to position itself as a hub for contemporary visual art?
Thank you for that question. First of all, I do want to say thank you to the Imo State government for inviting me to this channel. I think it's also very visionary to have a cultural worker, a gallerist, a visual art professional as part of this economic summit. We are an industry that is usually overlooked in moments like this. So I think that is testament to how serious and visionary the Imo State government is. And I do want to commend them. And as a daughter of Imo State from Owerri North, I feel very honored to be here amongst you. Good afternoon. Thank you. Welcome and thank you. I want to say thank you, Dr. Anas, for also laying that foundation, because it did give me some background information that I didn't have. And obviously being here yesterday, watching some of the informationals that were showing on the screen, it was very exciting to see what the digital city is doing and seeing the partnership with the University of California. This is the sorts of things that the visual arts and media and storytelling allow people to see into the state and get excited about what's going on in the state. And most times, if you get your storytelling right, if you get your packaging right, it actually supersedes the negative news that you hear. There is insecurity everywhere. There are a lot of cities that are very dangerous, and you know that you hear it. I do a lot of work in South Africa. Johannesburg is not the safest place, but they have staple events that draw people there. And they have a structure around that. And I think it's because they've done a really good job of promoting what they're doing there. So within the visual arts and storytelling and writing, it's important to package what we're doing here, to encourage people to come into Imo State and see the talents that there is. I want to talk about the power and the powerhouse that the creative economy is. You know, we talk about art in such a soft language sometimes that we forget how much money it draws to economies around the world. When you travel anywhere, when you go to London, people are going to the museums. When you're going to see the London Eye, you're going to Paris to see the monument. You're going to Lagos to see Nike Art Gallery. You know, people are now going, there's the museum coming up in Benin. Once upon a time, the Calabar Festival was a big draw. So what is the draw? What is bringing people to Imo State? And of course, there are things. There's Dangote Lake, there are monuments here, but who knows about them? What are we doing to communicate what we're doing here? And how are we preserving our heritage? How are we making money from our heritage? The Mbari system is the foundation of the modern art system that we have today. And I mean that globally. I don't mean Nigeria. All around the world, scholars are studying the Mbari aware system, which means that we have always been advanced. Our indigenous knowledge has always been technology. Technology is not new to us, but you have other people telling a better story, using our stories, making money for their economies. How are we being strategic about that? Where are the documentaries about Uzodimma? Where are the documentaries about the work that we're doing here? Where are the programs that are still modeled off the Mbari system, which was a creative ecosystem, where you're housing the artists, the writers? If we commission artists to create work about Dangote Lake, to create work about other monuments in the state, that's how, and then you share that, right? That's how people know. There is an identity of Lagos. Why do we know that? There's the yellow bus. Because we've seen it. We've seen it in film. We've seen it in paintings. And I was having a conversation yesterday morning with the journalist, and I asked him, before you saw a lot more yellow buses in Nigerian art, but you don't see them anymore. And why is that? Because you don't see yellow buses in real life. Art imitates. Art is a documentary outline. This is how in 20 years, when you come back, if you want to know what Imo State looks like, you should see the art. You should see the museum. You should say in 2025, this is what the people were discussing. I used to be the director of the Guild of Professional Fine Artists of Nigeria. So I can tell the different regions, the artists of month. The artists of the South are talking about oil spills through the art. I visited an artist in Kaduna 2 years ago, a very established artist. And so I went to his studio. It allowed me to see his work from when he had just finished school, 1970s or so, and now in 2023 at the time. And I saw that his art had not really changed. To a normal person, you say, oh, he paints the same thing over and over again. But actually, that was him documenting history, showing that Kaduna is at a standstill. They're still discussing the same things. They're still going through the same issues. Because that's what it's saying. But if you go to a different region and you see that the art is changing, it's telling you that in 1980s, this is what the city looks like. Yes. How are we documenting? We don't want to lose our identity. If it's not written and documented anywhere, there's that. But when you also think about the ecosystem, it's not just the artist. It's the carpenter who's building the frame. It's the painter who's painting the gallery. It is the person who's stretching the work. It's the admin. It's the technology component of it. There's so many jobs that can be created through this visual art. There's so many direct and indirect impacts on the economy. So I think that, of course, security is definitely the biggest draw, even for the practitioners themselves. Even for me, as a daughter of Imo State, I want to know that I'm safe here to conduct the work that I do, and also encourage people to come with me, to come back to my state.
Thank you for that. Our time is fast spent, so based on everything that you both discussed, I'd just like to put it to both of you, ask you a question. What is one opportunity you believe Imo State must prioritize immediately? Tourism, culture, operated enterprise development, and what the organization?
I think for me, it would be two things. One, it would be documentaries, honestly. So I think that there is a lot of infrastructure being built, there's a lot that's happening. I haven't been to Crystal Lake. So how are we documenting that? I think there are some funds for artists, for filmmakers to go around and show us Imo State. and show us the work that we're doing. That there is a partnership between Owerri and the University of California, Berkeley is a very big deal. I didn't know any of them. It's a very big deal. And to come here and find out about it, I'm like, who knows? There's a lot going on in Imo State. Who knows? So where are these small and larger documentaries going into the different subsets of the state, letting us know that way you encourage people to join hands, to bring more money, to bring more expertise into the state. So I think that is one step, but I think also empowering the creatives. I think that Nigerians are very creative. No matter the job that they're in, they bring their creative flair into those industries. So how are we funding young artists to also document, to also to do the documentary, to do the painting? You know, when you watch film, we know so much about America because of their film, because of the visual art. When you watch any movie and they've stolen something from the museum, it's the Mona Lisa. But no one, how many of us went to art school to learn what the Mona Lisa was?
Basically cultural
export, right? And the way to do that is just even document what is being done already. It doesn't even have to be a big new investment. Yeah. I'm so excited to find out what's going on where, but we need to talk about it.
Thank you for that. And Dr. Ennis, will be your own take on that.
Yeah, I would just completely subscribe to what you said. The only thing I would add is that government needs to work closely with that industry and curate some of these things just talked about. Get it out, push the government backing on it so that the private sector moves with the government towards getting some documentary, something, maybe even an institutionalized arrangement where people can log into Imo tourism and see the elements, see what there is in Imo. And I think it's a big thing that can be achieved very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We were supposed to have some panelists speaking to the tone of entertainment and policy making, but unfortunately, they haven't been able to join us today. However, I'd like to say a huge thank you to our two panelists for making it, and everyone who has shared insight with regards to this topic. The session has highlighted clear priorities for Imo, building a coherent statewide tourism roadmap, strengthening security, strengthening cultural export, and developing and enhancing digital visibility. Your contribution today helps shape the next phase of Imo and tourism in the future and on. And so we'd like to say a huge thank you, and thank you to the organizers of the summit for having us as well. Thank you very much.
The second panel discussion now on digital transformation and imperatives for positioning Imo as a startup and tech hub in Africa.
Everyone, all protocols observed. It's such a pleasure to be here today as a daughter from Imo State. I am very, very thankful to our governor to inviting me and to all the panelists. I think this is an amazing opportunity to talk about such important things. I'm the co-founder of Afropolitan. I have the fastest growing entrepreneurial podcast in Africa. And we talk about some of these subjects such as technology, culture, and business. And so it's such a pleasure to talk about the importance of technology and how much we can invest. And the fact that it is one of the fastest growing sectors in Nigeria, attracting billions of dollars every year to the country. And so today, my panelists, we're going to talk about not only the investment, but the infrastructure and how we can build more technology companies, entrepreneurs, the fact that AI is rising and that so many youth are being skilled in this and how they can export their talents globally. So first, I want to talk to Lasberry. Can you give us a little bit more insight into Yellow Card and how blockchain can be brought not only into Nigeria, but specifically to Imo State?
Thank you so much. A very big thank you to the organizers of this event and our BRS father, His Excellency, for putting this together. I work with the blockchain-powered infrastructure payments. What that means or what that implies is this company has discovered a way to enhance cross-border payments and using blockchain technology for ease of transactions. Basically, just two things that we need to know about this company. What we're focused on is the blockchain technology. There are so many things you can actually do with the blockchain, right? You can use it for records, you can use it for transactions, then you can also build other innovative products on the blockchain. So just talking about specifically with regards to transactions, one of the biggest use cases for blockchain when it comes to transactions is the use case of stablecoins. Maybe during the conversation, I will talk more about what stablecoins is all about and how stablecoins is solving problems through blockchain technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lester. In fact, we also use stablecoins as well. There's so many diasporans that come into the country each year. Sometimes they're not able to easily make payments on Nigerian cards. So stablecoins has been instrumental in helping more people being able to transact in Nigeria. So now, Henry, I want to go with you. Can you talk more about Fair Money and what infrastructure are you building here specifically in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks to the government and the organizers for this laudable event. Right. So my name is Henry. I am MD for Fair Money Microfinance Bank. So Fair Money is a leading microfinance bank in Nigeria. We're using technology and leveraging on technology to push financial inclusion and provide access to financial services for the underserved and the unserved. Right. So those that maybe already have accounts but are not satisfied with what they are getting, and those that don't have at all, right? And so for 7-8 years now, we've been building this, and it's been an interesting experience. One of the things that we've done primarily is looking at the pain points within the financial services ecosystem and seeing very clearly that access to credit is the number one critical problem that we see. And so what we've done is trying to provide or improve that access to credit, leveraging on technology to the point where we're able to scale that or above that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And so to Chris, I believe one of your organizations helps local companies here, for example, in Nigeria, to scale outside of the country. So I'm curious what you're doing specifically for companies in Imo that are building technology companies and making sure they're ready to export their talent to, global organizations.
Yes. Thank you, first of all, for having me. Thank you to the governor and all of the organizations. Thank you. It's just now working better. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the joys of being tall. Thank you to the organizers, specifically to the governor, for inviting me to come. And I will answer the question in a moment, but I'm here wearing multiple hats. The first hat that I wear is that I run an organization out of Silicon Valley known as the U.S. Market Access Center, US MAC. We are a startup enabler accelerator with 15 years experience, with extensive experience all over the world. We've worked in 82 countries, and we're happy that we're now here in Nigeria, specifically in Imo. Our goal is to help, through US MAC, is to help startup founders figure out how to scale globally. We do a lot of work bringing them to the US, but as the world globalizes, it becomes more and more about what is helping them find the next right market. But specifically, I'm here in Imo as part of a program that is a founder development program that is being done in partnership between my company, US MAC, and the Siddhartha Center for Entrepreneurship at UC Berkeley. And the idea is that here in Imo, there is an amazing talent base of technologists that's being built. but there isn't the skill and experience in terms of being able to found companies, build products that people love, and then figuring out how to scale. The challenge of a first-time founder is unique. And so we're looking not at the financial capital side, but the human capital side, that if you can build great founders here in Imo, in a way, they will build great companies, and those great companies will come on and become the economic engines for development and growth here.
Amazing. This is a really great initiative. When I had my tech company, HR software, I had to go all the way to Silicon Valley to get investment, and this was in 2015. So it's really good that in 2025, there's actually a U.S. accelerator coming right here to Owerri to help these startup founders get the necessary skill set in order to export their talent. So thank you so much for that. So Mr. Sunday, can you talk about your own organization and how it's specifically helping the youth in order to upscale their talent that is needed?
Thank you very much. I think I'll speak from my experience as the time I was a youth minister and the program that we onboarded. We onboarded a program called DEAL, that is Digital Skills Acquisition, Employability, and also youth leadership training. The idea is to upskill about 1 million Nigerian youth. But we found out that we had about over 450 digital skills. And when we did the market survey, we saw that we had a skills mismatch and also lack of skills needed by our youth. So we designed a program in which our young people were trained with the skills that were relevant within the Nigerian system, but also skills that were exportable. Sometimes some of them in the telecom industry, working for telecom industries and companies outside of Nigeria, but also just sitting down in situ in their offices. But I think the larger part is to speak to my experience as the Federal Executive Commissioner of the Nigerian Communications Commission. And under my tenure, we licensed infracodes in the 6 geopolitical zones. The plan is to have fiber optic connections as a network across the 74 local governments. That would provide us the backbone that we need for any digital enhancement that this country needs. At this point, I think we're just barely 30% in that direction. And I think whatever we say now, every part of our lives, there's digital footprint. We need a digital footprint. In the age of AI, there's digital footprint, because through AI, you can open your refrigerator, you can monitor so many things around you. And I think if Nigeria works hard to build the infrastructure across the country, then the digital economy that Imo is trying to do, they can plug in, because it's a network that covers the entire country.
So, Mr. Sunday, I actually have a follow-up question, because in order to do AI, right, it requires a lot of energy, and obviously it requires way more broadband than we have now. As you said, it's 30% penetration. So what infrastructure is being built so that the costs of data and internet can actually come down?
This, I'll be very careful in responding, because you have the telecom giants, the mobile network operators. You're talking about Globacom, MTN, and the rest. You know, in the last 8 months, we've had a battle about increasing the tariff on data. It was increased, it was brought back. But the point is, when you do a survey across the Western and South region, data is cheapest in Nigeria. You go to Ghana, it's double. You go to Senegal. But I think that it's important now that data dominates every facet of our lives. When it comes to education, it's data. When it comes to digital marketing, it's data. When it comes to where you find most of our youth who are not employed, but find entrepreneurship, it is data. So they say the new oil is data. And I think it's important that governments, improve the price. What do we need to do? Apart from the infrastructure, you look at building the backbone. At our shores, we have unused potentials, such one, Glow One, etc. But we need to build
the infrastructure for that platform. Once we're able to tap into that, you just line down in the Atlantic shores. I think data will be so cheap. That's one. Secondly, we have the question of energy. When I was in NCC, on a weekly basis, the MNOs complain about the amount of money they spend on diesel. And that has not changed. And that is transferred to the cost of data. So if we're able to get it right with energy, and there is steady power supply, the cost of data will come down. But let me say, data is the new oil. Thank you.
Yes. So, Chris, I want to go back to you. With the accelerator that you are putting together, does that also include investment? And if not, how much investment do you think a place like Imo needs in order for these startups to feel ready? There's, like I said before, there's so much money coming into Nigeria to the startup ecosystem. And unfortunately, most of the startups that are raising capital, especially over $1 million, typically is in Lagos. Very rarely you're not seeing, I haven't seen in recent time, startups that are raising real capital. And when I say real capital, I mean seed capital. So, $1, $2 million, which is even on the low end. Is there any plans to actually bring that type of capital into Owerri?
Yeah, so you are correct that right now there is a capital desert here for startups. But one of the things, being out of Silicon Valley, I'm an active angel investor. I've been a partner at a VC fund. The truth is that the money actually chases the talent, not the other way around. That if you have talented people, the money will come to them. And the real issue we believe here in Imo State right now is that there are not enough quality startups that will promote the capital to show up here. And so until you can get a certain density of talented startups, of high quality startups run by talented founders, the capital won't come here. And so this is why we're really focused on this idea of founder development. How do we help the founders build a company that the money will come to? As I said earlier, we work with founders from 82 countries, mostly in emerging markets. And collectively, they've now raised $8 billion. It's proof that if you can build the right startup in the right place, the money comes. I have a friend who runs a company in the country, Georgia, former Soviet Union, 3 million people, about as small gets. He just raised $10 million on a $100 million valuation, right? The money finds the talent. Our challenge here is to create the infrastructure, the tools, the human capital, and also get corporations to actually engage with the startups to be early adopters. And if we can do that, the money will start to show up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. So I want to go back to you, Lasberry. So what gets me excited about blockchain is, I think, like you rightly said, it pulls into the gaps of a lot of inefficiencies, right? And I think lots of times we look at it just as finance, but I think there's also issues around even land ownership, even IP. Do you see any of these type of examples specifically in Imo State that blockchain could be a really strong use case, especially because there's still a lot of skepticism around blockchain and people not understanding the full capabilities of it?
Thank you so much for that question. A few months back, I found myself in London, and I was actually meant to stay there for about 2 weeks. And I walked into the African market and I bought a tube of yam, and I asked them, "Where's this yam from?" And they said, "Ghana," right? I looked at the tube of yam and I remembered Ubuta yam. And I got to understand that there is actually a digital platform that is available to farmers, large-scale farmers, to display their products and they are able to receive payment. And I asked the guy, what's your biggest challenge? And he said payment. And I asked him, have you heard about stable coins before? And he said no. One of the challenges they are facing receiving products from Africa, not just Nigeria, is the means of payment. And I spoke to the man about stable coins. What can stable coins do for you? If I give you an app, can you actually take supply from my country? And he said yes. Just show me how I can pay them and tell me who the vendors are and I'll do business with them. So I look at Imo State as we have the potentials, right? The two of you are my bots. You can't even compare it with Ubutayam. So think of a marketplace, right? Built on the blockchain where you can actually receive your payment through stable coins. I know there are challenges. One of the biggest challenges we have around blockchain is the literacy. We have not invested so much time on educating people on what they can do with blockchain, right? There is a lot we can actually derive as a state because of our capabilities that we can actually build on blockchain. Yesterday, the governor, His Excellency, gave us a keynote speech, and he talked about using blockchain at the land registry, right? So one of the benefits of blockchain is that you're able to keep your records and nobody can alter the record, right? And why is it called a blockchain? It simply means that each time you put a block on the chain, there has to be some verification. There has to be some alignment. Whenever you put a default block, every other node would set an alarm that there is a problem. So that's record keeping, right? So apart from using blockchain for our land registry, we can also use blockchain in our hospitals. We can use blockchain even in the ministry. We're familiar with the ghost workers. How are the ghost workers operating? It simply means one person is providing a list of 10 people as workers in a particular ministry, and those records are altered. Those records can actually be built on blockchain so that the ministries are not paying more than the number of people working there. So each time you bring in a list of 10 people, there will be a trigger. Everyone that has access to blockchain will know that there is an error here. Probably this person doesn't have this identity and all that. So one big thing we can derive from blockchain as a state is to spend time, spend our resources and educating the young ones on the benefits of the blockchain. It's not only relevant for transactions, it's very key in record keeping, which is why it's decentralized, right? So there are so many use cases for blockchain in Imo State. As we have deployed it in our land registry, we should also make effort to deploy it in our ministries so that we don't keep paying ghost workers. Even during elections, we can also use blockchain. So it's just to have that understanding, which is you can't really make use of what you don't understand. So for us to really exploit blockchain in Imo State, we need to spend our time learning blockchain. We actually meant to make it as a compulsory subject in Imo State. All the unitary schools from the secondary stage should understand what blockchain is. By the time they are in the university, you see them coming up with innovative products built on the blockchain. So that's an area that the state can actually focus on and be able to derive the benefits. Thank you.
Very, very good. I actually spoke to the commissioner who built the digital city. And so I'm hoping that there's note taking of how we can make sure that blockchain education is one of the requirements, or I believe they trained over 50,000 youths and taking that skill set in order to really best use blockchain. So thank you so much, Lasberry. And so over to you, Henry. Your company prides itself off of data-driven information when it comes to repayment of loans. And so I want you to speak to what is the best capability of understanding someone being able to pay back their loans, because we don't actually have a very deep credit infrastructure currently. And are you seeing anything interesting in Imo around loan repayments?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a good question. I think so. Lending is a very old business. It's been here since the beginning of time, right? And essentially, depending on in my view, there are three things that are important. Number one is you want to know who the person is, right? So what's the identity of the person you're borrowing to? So who are you? Where do you stay? Where do you live? Number two is, do you have the capacity to repay? Do you have the capacity to repay? So all the analysis that you do should speak to the person's capacity, how much they are earning, or if they're a business, how much the business is earning. That's the second thing. Then the third thing is behavioral, right? Do they have a willingness to pay? Do they have examples or experience of taking facilities and repaying, right? And so for us as Family, what we try to do, and we started this, as I said, 7-8 years ago, is look at different data points to try to make that determination. Unfortunately, as we evolve, as time has passed, with the evolution of time and different players within the ecosystem, you have some specific people providing specific services. And I'll give you a simple example. Identity verification. That's a big thing for whether you're a CBN licensed entity like us or just a lender. You want to identify the person that is doing this, right? So with partners now, you're able to digitally verify the identity of someone. So I don't need to go to your local government to say this is who this person is. So that's number one. I think another example is address verification, for example, right? So because before you needed to physically go to a house to verify that this person stays here. Now with technology, you are able to do that digitally, and that is also a big, because imagine, as I said previously, we deal with 300,000 customers on a monthly basis. So how would you do that at scale, right? And because you can do this digitally, I think that is something that is helpful, and it's something that can be replicated in a state like Imo, and people can leverage on that. I think another thing I would just lay on top of it, and I think it's important, is for us lenders, the more information and the more data we have, the better our decision making, and the more we are able to say that this is a good borrower versus a bad borrower, and we can give the good borrower more funds. So for a state like Imo, it will be important if you can band groups of people together. So market women, for example, or youth groups and so, right? Where we can, that helps us identify the people involved, right? So if someone comes to you and say, I'm a part of this cooperative or part of this market group, I know that, okay, the leader is this person. And if I want to get to the actual borrower, I can get through her or him through the leader, right? So that is something that is useful as you plan to improve access to credit. I think that's something that's important and something that can be easily implemented in a state like you.
Okay, thank you. And so over to you, Chris. So I'm curious because on the last panel, there was a mention of this partnership with Imo State and Berkeley, and we had no idea that this was even a partnership. And so can you please just highlight that partnership? What university in Imo does it house in, if you know that? I think it's important that everyone here understands, the uniqueness of this.
Yeah, so one of the hats that I wear is I am part of, at UC Berkeley, what's called the Siddhartha Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology. It is the leading center at Berkeley. More than 1,200 students every year take at least one class out of all the classes that they offer. And what they have studied for the last 20 years is this question of how do you develop founders? How do you actually build the right mindset, build the right knowledge, build the right skills? And I've been faculty there. They've now given me a fancy name. I'm a global ambassador, and I don't know what that means. But we have built a unique partnership with the Imo Digital City. It's actually not with the university, because we want it to be available, the program to be available as widely as possible, not to be restricted to just the students at one university. Through the sponsorship of the governor and the work with the commissioner at the Digital City, the program is actually open to anyone in Nigeria that wants to apply. And just a little plug for the program, we're in the middle of the application process for the cohort, which launches next month. If you go to the Imo Digital City website, you can get into the application process. But what we've done is we've worked with the leadership at the center to actually develop the training and the curricula that will be used in the program based on the 20 years of experience of Berkeley doing this, as well as my own company's 15 years of experience of training founders around the world. And it is the first time actually in Africa where the Siddhartha Center is actually formally certifying a program that says that this conforms to the quality and standard of the entrepreneurship training that is done on campus at Berkeley. So it is a truly unique opportunity for people. And we're not actually looking for startups. What we're actually looking for is people who want to start a company, who have that drive, that passion, that ambition, that we can then help them become a great founder. We can help them find the right idea for them to start the company. That you're a startup founder. Your first idea sucks, right? You know, what you think you're going to do on day one is never what you do a year later, and God forbid, 10 years later, right? And so our goal is to find high potential individuals, help them find the right idea, help them validate that people will buy it, build the right product, and help them get to market. And at the end of this program, the very best of the companies that come out of it will actually take to Silicon Valley to help them get funded.
Thank you so much. And so I think it's important that I end on this note. As someone who has ran a tech company for over a decade, and now have a podcast, so I get an opportunity to speak to a lot of entrepreneurs. I see a lot of young people that are here today, and I think it's very important to urge them if you do not use AI in any form, it's so important that you educate yourself on AI and the fundamentals. Already in Silicon Valley, they have already built all the, what we call LLMs. So that is the ChatGPT, the Claude. These are the companies that have built all the data systems around AI. But I think it's very important that we start to build the application layers on these systems, and that we find ways that we can upgrade our companies and figure out how we can implement AI into the companies that we're building today. So thank you, each and every one of our panelists here. I want to also thank our amazing governor for inviting each and one of these panelists to really shed light on technology and how we can implement these technologies into Imo State.
Day 2 end with closing remarks from the Deputy Governor of Imo State, followed by a group photograph of all the speakers, dignitaries, and panelists.
Close the summit, and after that we'll go for lunch.
Please sit.
On behalf of His Excellency, distinguished Senator Hope Uzodimma, I want to thank everybody who took time to just sit and listen to the amazing panelists as they are selling Imo State to the world. His Excellency, distinguished Senator Hope Uzodimma has done a lot on this one-of-a-kind Imo State Economic Summit. He has pulled down and closed the entire country for our dear state, Imo State. This goes to show what he has in mind for the people of Imo State. We want to thank him for coming up with this amazing initiative. We want to thank all the people who I know by just attending this summit have decided to partner with Imo State in all the initiatives His Excellency is dishing out. I want to thank our sisters, even though they are far away in diaspora, they were all brought back and they gave their perspective, all to bring Imo State to #1 in the world map. I want to thank the compares, okay, Bakasi, Eugene Abu, and so many of them who made sure that they anchored this summit on 100% platform. As we live after today, we pray God to guide you, to take you back home. If you are representing a company or an individual or something, you have seen what it is that we are proposing for the entire state. Please join us. His Excellency is one of a kind. He's a great leader. He's powerful. He's courageous. And he will keep moving forward. Nothing stops him until Imo becomes the new world for everybody in digital, in agriculture, in education, in health. He will keep pushing. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. Thank you.
This Imo State Economic Summit now one of a kind, and the results don't already they show. Development they move, investors don't show interest. This one no be talk and go, now real action they take place inside Imo State. As you don't watch this video, so don't forget to comment, like, share, hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so that once we post any videos, so you will get alert. Until we see you now for the next one.